Late drama in the World Cup. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But for the NHL, it is a big week this week, and it starts this afternoon. The deadline for qualifying offers to RFAs is at 5 p.m. The Sabres do have a few RFAs on their roster, including forward Peyton Krebs and newly acquired defenseman Olin Zellweger. Then, ahead of free agency opening up on Wednesday, the Sabres did officially announce that forward Beck Malenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. Do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show a little bit later on this afternoon at 5 p.m. We also do have some small trades across the league. Vancouver acquire forward Brendan Gallagher from Montreal for future considerations. And we've also got some rights being traded. AJ Greer heads to the Ducks, and Radko Gudas goes to Florida. Staying with Florida, a Florida judge found a probable cause today for Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold to face charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. Arnold's bond is set at $1 million, and he will not have to wear an ankle bracelet as a condition of his bond, allowing his participation in football later this summer. Former NFL running back Chris Johnson announced today he is being diagnosed with ALS, and he has been diagnosed all the way back in 2025. And for his NFL career, Johnson was a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he also rushed for over 2,000 yards in 2009, the year he won Offensive Player of the Year. Now to the World Cup. Brazil scores in extra time, and we are just probably a few seconds or so away from Brazil taking a 2-1 win over Japan. 4:30, Germany takes on Paraguay, and then at 9, we've got Morocco going up against the Netherlands. While in baseball, Yankees host the Tigers at 7:05, and the Mets, they are in Toronto versus the Blue Jays at 7:07. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp.
Last night at 12:30 in the morning, I ate a can of mushrooms. I did. Pieces and stems, if you're wondering. As opposed to buttons. It was pieces and stems, which will be my next year's fantasy football team name.
Pieces and stems.
Pieces and stems.
And the Bulldog.
I should be ashamed to admit this publicly, but whatever. How long have we been doing this? I'm a junkie. I can't be trusted.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Do we need resolution on what that crap is in front of you before we go anywhere?
I think you will be proud of me as your friend and coworker for all these years. I'm ignoring it. I
don't think I want that.
I
personally, maybe yes.
I feel like I could just make a big. There's just like this black sooty junk all over the console.
What could it be? To me, first glance from across the room, obstructed view, it's the stuff inside like an Etch-a-Sketch.
Sure, I think it looks like fireplace ashes.
Fireplace ashes
is what it looks like.
Etch-a-Sketch ashes.
I don't know why that.
But that wouldn't be it.
No, it can't be that.
Only if someone is bringing that in.
That would be weird.
And why?
Yeah, right.
So that's not it.
Yeah.
Is someone shaving the monitors? Is that maybe just like someone is sort of like whittling away the monitors?
Metal shavings.
What is going on there?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know how I get, right? I'm the one who's got to rearrange chairs. Every now and then I have these fits of organization, symmetry I'm seeking. I'm just going to, not that this is exactly that, I'm just pretending it's not there. Because I think if I start cleaning it, I'm going to get all dirty. It's going to get all over my hands. It's not going to be a productive situation, so I'm ignoring it.
I know what this is. Stacks of reverse AFC power rankings. That's what this is.
Is that what we got there?
Yep. Yeah. 20 pages of that. Much easier to identify.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm just
we're just going to
I'm done with it. Yep.
Block it out.
Yep.
Well, we are through the hockey draft, but not through the whole busy section of the offseason. There was we had the trade earlier on Friday for the defenseman, but there was no biggie on Friday night. But here we are on Monday, and there still are Connor Hellebuck rumors and speculation. And I'm thinking of a conversation we had maybe not even a week ago. Do we take from what's being reported that they want him? And I still think yes.
I think yes is the answer there. I think Winnipeg wants to move him.
Yes, me too.
I think I think he wants to be moved, and I think the Sabres are absolutely still in on it. And I'm a little surprised, I guess, by that. I mean, the draft picks, like, balking at whatever price might have been discussed, or however it happened. I mean, all we know is that the trade did not happen on Friday night or over the weekend at all. And I mostly feel like when that comes and goes, like, I don't have the 4th pick anymore, I don't have the 20th pick anymore. Well, that's probably it on the trade. Like, one of those was surely going to be a part of the trade if it was going to happen. And now that those picks are, they're actual players now, right, in the form of Rudolph and Morozov.
New names.
I mean, I guess you could trade those players. I don't know. Or just other stuff. So I mean, it's funny. It was never my favorite idea when we talked about it. In fact, I said, to me, it's going to be, can I do this for a forward or that for a defenseman? No. Okay, let's explore this goalie thing. And I don't know if that's the order that things went down in or not. Maybe they've just prioritized this move, and it's still the move that they would like to make, and just didn't find a price that they found palatable over the weekend. But now I'm sort of left hoping they can pull off a Connor Hellebuck trade when I think, because I feel like they got to do something more. And I like the Zellweger kid. That sounds like a good enough idea to replace Byram to me. So, like, I'm okay there. I don't think there's anyone really out there. I mean, I guess there's still guys you could trade for, forwards, to try to replace Tuck. But I'm sort of settling into they are just going to go internal on that. And I feel like their attention is on goalie, and goalie should be all that I'm hoping for, because I don't know that there's anything else to be done.
Well, you also have, if you want it, the other names like Larkin were not traded either.
Right.
So what does happen with him? What happens with the other the stars who, Robertson, is that going to be an offer sheet? Is he just going to stay there? I mean, some of these guys, I think it was sounding like a trade was wanted. I mean, maybe by both the player and the team, but you didn't get it. So are we at a point now, maybe this will work out for the Sabres, where prices come down? I bet teams maybe kind of hammered them for that 4th pick once they got it, and they wouldn't come off it. Mm-hmm. They picked a player that, for the many hours we spent talking about the draft, never once was mentioned.
Right.
I mean, who's that? I didn't even know who that was. You'd think I would. And I probably should have.
I had read. I wasn't watching. I was wrapped up in Ride for Roswell stuff, and thanks to everybody here, you specifically, for giving me the leeway to do all that. It was great. So I was playing.
Wasn't my call.
So I was playing catch up. You're the one I care the most about. I mean, I don't know. You're the one that's in the room with me every day.
I had no say in it.
Felt like I was letting you down. But anyway, I had read something earlier in the day that sort of indicated, hey, the Sabres are high on this guy. I don't think it was Chad. It might have just been a national guy I'd never heard of, but, like, this is a guy to keep an eye on. The Sabres like this guy. So it wasn't the first time I'd heard or seen the name when I found out that he was the pick.
Okay. It was mine.
Yeah. But still, it's still somewhat surprising. I mean, there were, how many guys did we talk about with Stephen Ellis on Thursday? 3 or 4 defensemen I think we talked about, and none of them were this guy. And he ends up being the first defenseman off the board, is how it went down.
The big name there was Chase Reed.
Right.
Who, I think I remember John Butchergross trying to tell you they're going to pick Chase Reed. He's Chris Berman now.
Right. If they have the pick, he's going to, yeah.
I guess not.
Right.
Good intel, though.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I got to admit, I was kind of bummed out on Friday night when I caught up and, and now I'm watching, and they're on the, then they're going to make a pick at 20. Okay. Huh. Well, at least they didn't trade for Vincent Trocheck, which
not yet.
That is like the thing that I didn't want them to do the most. As much as I wanted some sexy Matthew Nyes, Jason Robertson, Connor Hellebuck, whatever, some trade idea, I really did not want them to pull the trigger on a Trocheck trade. And you're right to say that not yet. I mean, I guess that still could happen. If we're talking about Hellebuck, you'd still be talking about anything. But I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, they're really in the same position they were before the draft. Other than
Zellweger.
Zellweger, but other than not having those picks to spend anymore,
Right.
to use as currency. I mean, they're not going to do that, right? They're not going to draft these guys and then trade the guys, I think. So you have next year's picks. You have the same group of young, promising players, the Ostlins of the world, who are still sitting around. You have the same holes. You can't take either of these first-round picks as replacements for Alex Tuck or Bowen Byram. I think the Anaheim defenseman is somewhat, in theory, in concept, he's a replacement.
I think that's the
Byram.
bet right now. Yeah, he certainly reads like that on paper.
I'm fine with that. I mean, that's
me too.
Let's just see. Did you have an opinion of him already? I did not.
Zellweger, no, not really. Okay. I had to read about him.
But fast and young,
skilled, gifted, like puck mover. Like I think it fits, and really needs to brush up on his defensive zone awareness. That sort of reads like Byram. We'll see what the contract comes in at. He's an RFA, but it's probably half price Byram from his old deal, even not even what he's going to get. Once July 1 comes around and Chicago can sign him to a new contract. But this kid might come in around between $3 and $4 million. I might hope.
So they have the same work to do mostly.
Yeah.
As we go into this week, the draft is over, and they mostly have the same work to do. Figure out someone for Tuck, and you need it just to reset the conversation to not be someone who's already on the team.
Ideally, yeah. But like I said at the outset here, my focus has shifted to Hellebuck, and I sort of feel, and that might be a mistake. I mean, they could still make DeBrusk is still out there. There's a guy in Seattle that Chad has written about, but they didn't get Tuck, and that I think his logic was like this guy McMahon becomes expendable if they get Tuck, and they didn't get Tuck. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But so they could still fortify that, but I don't know, the smoke around the goalie thing, the fact that Elliot Friedman is still talking about it on the Monday following the draft just tells me that's probably where our attention should be, I think.
I agree with that.
So, if they do something to supplement the forward group, great. Depending on what it is, and I'm not going to love everything. I didn't love this Trocheck idea that, who knows, could still be out there. Unless it's a replacement for someone who goes in the Hellebuck trade, right? Like if for some reason Winnipeg wants, and the Sabres might want to include some money in that, in addition to Luukkonen. So maybe if Ryan McLeod is, a part of a trade package for anyone, but Hellebuck specifically I'm thinking about, well, then maybe I have a need for someone like Trocheck.
What do you think the fan reaction is going to be if they put something together for him? One of the guys that we're really excited about, maybe Merca, Luukkonen, and maybe next year's draft. Something, I mean, that's sizable. And, maybe it tips based on what that package is. But one of our young studs, goalie X for him. Are fans going to be into it?
I think probably yes.
I think it's pretty split.
I think that there's always – I think a lot of the people that would be, I don't want to trade for a big-name goalie, I don't want to trade for a big-name goalie, will go, we got a big-name goalie. I think a lot of people will turn. Some of that camp that would be like not, I don't want to pay a goalie big money. I don't want to spend assets on a lot of he's on my team now. Did you see him in the Olympics? I think that plenty of people will get swept up in that. But no, I don't think it'll be unanimous at all. It's a goalie. There's people are dug in about what that, how good a bet that could be.
And he's on the older side, and he's had playoff failures.
Right.
He's not perfect,
right,
as an idea. So I think it'll be pretty split if they were to do that. But I still think, as I did last week, that, and this is usually easy for me because I tend to fall for everything that comes along. That okay, well, why are they talking to Winnipeg and Bobrovsky or whoever else goaltenders if they didn't want one of them? Like, why would they even bother? A lot of teams, you don't see Boston mentioned, for example,
Right.
in any of these conversations because they have a guy they like, and that's obvious. But the Sabres are. And I think it's fairly obvious why they would want to with how the season ended. As we talked about last week, I could see Jarmo Kekalainen and company in a boardroom. Maybe he doesn't have to be at the stadium. Are they still in there? Are they still out at the...
I think they came out.
If it's nicer, it's nicer. I mean, I guess just sort of hang out until they kick you out. Wherever they are, talking about goaltending as the one area where they need to be different. And this is an opportunity that would pretty easily seem to allow for that if you get Connor Hellebuck. So, yeah, I think, as you said, as this week starts, the focus is, I think, there. And I think we can talk with the same sort of enthusiasm about all the possibilities as we did last week. Because Nyes, too. Like, nobody went.
Mm-hmm.
The first round came along as awkward as ever, as a entertainment vehicle and a broadcast, as awkward as ever. For some reason, the National Hockey League draft is just always weird. Does it just have to be? Gary Bettman cannot help himself. Like, it's just always so awkward.
Yep.
And I think he must love it. I think he must love doing it. And, I mean, it's just like the cringy, oh, you gotta love the enthusiasm when the fans are booing him. Nobody's laughing.
Right.
It's not funny at all. Just like he's doing his best to try to diffuse whatever embarrassment. But I don't know. Justin Bieber could not even name. I mean, he didn't even announce McKenna. He just Mr. McKenna eventually. Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
Oh my gosh.
I did not.
Batman doesn't name Bieber.
I've just seen pictures
Listen
of
to that
Bieber
sentence.
all over town
Listen, yeah.
that I don't think are real.
Listen to that sentence. Batman doesn't name Bieber. Like, the reports came out during the day. Emily Kaplan, quote, a major A-list celebrity.
Right.
And I was enjoying thinking about, like, who that couldn't be. Brian Koziol mentioned Tiger Woods. Like, would Tiger Woods qualify? And I said no. Not that he has any connection to the Leafs anyway.
Right.
It was never going to be Tiger Woods. But, no, a major A-list has to be on a level up from, right now, not 20 years ago, but from Tiger Woods. So Bieber and Drake were the two names that I think
Picks,
were
right.
the possibilities.
Right.
And Bettman introduces Justin Bieber, but he doesn't say his name. I'm in the car. Like, I'm not looking at it.
Right. So
I think I would recognize Justin Bieber,
Yeah,
but
I
not
think so.
everybody would.
Right.
You got to name him. Doesn't.
Yeah, you usually do. Yeah.
What is it about this guy?
I don't know. Something happened when Guerin won the GM of the Year thing.
Yes.
What, the mic didn't work when he was supposed to talk, and then they went back to it. And when they went back to it, it was right before the Sabres were picking 20th, because I was really paying attention, waiting for that pick. That pick was the finish line for my night. Like, are they going to make this pick? Or are they going to trade this pick? I got to get up at 4 a.m. to go ride a bike 40 miles. I want to, what's happening? And he's waiting for the something to happen on the video screen. It took, it seemed like forever. I'm sure it was only like 20 seconds. But there was this time where he's just staring at the screen, and the screen's blank. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Can you make this run a little more seamlessly?
Well, he was orange.
And then
By the way,
eventually there's
Bill
Aaron
Guerin.
and
He was orange or red, even red, I would say. So that didn't work. There were two looks at him eventually when they got that fixed. And when it was just a shot of that room he was in, he looked like a normal person. But when it was, over the fireplace, the fake fireplace or whatever, like, he was red.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted that either. But
no, probably not.
he's the GM of the year. Great.
Yep, sure.
Sure.
Quinn Hughes trade.
Yeah.
That's it.
In the Olympics.
Yep.
Anybody else we can give awards to that just haven't won anything in a while? We got to make sure to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So you could tell us out there how you would react to the Sabres trading for Connor Hellebuck, because if you're listening and paying attention to what we're talking about, Bulldog and I both think like that might still happen, and it does kind of read like the Sabres wanted to. But, we'll see how it ends. Maybe to their credit, they are waiting this out.
Yeah.
It's interesting negotiation stuff.
I got to give them a lot of credit to not, because I knew this was not the smartest way, is the way I think I want to say it, to view that fourth pick. I would have had a very hard time not having that pick burn a hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
I just would have. I came here to buy a car today. That's the sort of that would have been me. And I know that's not what you want to do. You want to protect, the value of the asset. Just because it fell in your lap sort of surprisingly, at least from out here. I don't know how surprised the Sabres were that they got that pick for Byram or as part of the Byram return. But I could have easily spent it on anything that wasn't exactly worth it. And I want to respect that they didn't do that, even though, we don't have some shiny new hockey player to play on the Sabres right now. We got draft picks. And those can, this Rudolph kid's going to go play in Denver. Like, they're going to be in the national title conversation, whether they get there or not. I mean, there's hockey games to be played, but they're a powerhouse team year over year over year. So he's going to be, he's got an opportunity to have a great year and maybe roll right into the NHL. And that's pretty exciting. Maybe the runway won't be that long. He said already, I think he's shooting for being in the NHL after playing a year of college.
But that could even be like this season, right? As opposed to
I guess after the year ends, yeah.
Yes.
He could do the
Boston had a guy.
He could, right. Hagens, he could. Yeah, even if he plays in the national championship game, there's still runway after that.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
If they're making a playoff run, there could be a couple months.
I'm pretty sure Makar went to the Avalanche after winning the national title at UMass.
He's not that good.
Maybe it took until the playoffs, but he played that spring for Colorado.
We have a 5:00 deadline for RFAs today. Peyton Krebs among them, and the new acquisition Zellweger. We'll see if they complete him.
Good one.
I'm just going to keep using that.
Good job there.
6 players in total. Krebs would be the biggest. Of course, he'll be qualified.
I think those two for sure get qualified, and I don't really know about any of the others, like how important they are organizationally.
Yep.
They're very much guys that are down the depth chart, I think. So, nothing would surprise me, but maybe the thing I'd expect the most is Krebs and Zellweger, and maybe that's it on the qualifying offers.
Well, on Hellebuck, as I'm asking and we're talking, just sort of how does it feel? I both would expect to be bummed out about what they gave up, especially if it's Helenius or Murtka, both. I would not Luukkonen. I'm ready to be done there, but I would be sad about the two very promising, if it's this, promising players that the Sabres would have to trade, probably, if they were to do it. But at the same time, I would be super excited for the season. That's kind of how trades can be. You can't just always be happy with all of it. You have to give to get.
Ouch. Right.
So there should be some pain if they are to do it. Are you hoping that Florida saves them from themselves, or even some other? Does it matter if it's Florida or some other team ends up outbidding the Sabres for Hellebuck, so that you can be spared this particular pain?
Yeah, no. I think, like I already alluded to, it feels, and again, this doesn't have to be the case, but it feels like the only move left to me, which kind of makes me want it. Like, again, I'm the guy that fourth pick was going to be burning a hole in my pocket. Like, I want action. I thought I was going to get action, and like Wednesday night, the Byram trade happens. You get all that return dribs and drabs. Eventually, you get it all. Like, I'm up until midnight waiting to see what else is going to happen, and then I woke up at 4 a.m. the next day. Like, I can't wait to look. Like, what's next? And so the juice that I'm seeking really is represented by Hellebuck at this point, which makes me want him more than I did last week at this time.
Mm-hmm. But is that how it should work?
Probably not.
You don't want, as I believe it was W.C. Fields who said, you can't be a slave to the juice. You don't want to be a slave to. Was it him? Was it someone else? Was it Robert Frost? Who was it that said you can't be? You don't want to be a slave to the Jews.
Plato.
Plato, right? Those guys just were copycats. Plato. We have Warren Sharp today.
Hey now.
Get some football in. He's got his annual, thorough, vast topics are covered. His book is out, and the Almanac. We'll talk to Warren at 4 o'clock today. Paul Hamilton checks in his summation on the draft and the weekend, and maybe there's still more to talk about. And that's kind of how we're feeling as we get started today for the week. 803-0550 to your calls next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Well, I still think Winnipeg and Buffalo are talking. I don't think that's over yet. I'll say this. I had heard on Friday he was willing to waive to go to Buffalo. I don't know if that was ever formally submitted. I'm 100% convinced he was willing to waive to go to Buffalo. I heard there were a few options. And the fact that he was willing to go to Buffalo indicated to me that he wanted a team that he thought over the next 3 years would be a consistent contender.
Elliot Friedman. I guess with a little bit more time to think, I would have probably guessed that that's where Elliot was going with that last point. But I had an instinct, I'll admit, that when he started to say, if he's willing to go to Buffalo, he's going anywhere.
He's
dying to
traded.
leave.
He wants to get traded.
That's what
right now.
that was my instinct, how that sentence was going to end.
Yeah.
But
he steered away. Yeah.
But
that is flattering. I mean, it's good, right? I mean, Jarmo Kekalainen after the Byram trade, did some media and said, we're starting to hear from agents that, and even teams that, we're coming off of some no trade lists. So that's encouraging. I mean, Hellebuck is, whatever you think of a 33-year-old goaltender, I mean, he's a superstar in the league. So it's comforting to hear that he doesn't need to go to Las Vegas. I mean, maybe he'd love to go to Las Vegas, but still, not everyone can play in Florida and Vegas. So,
well, we're going to test that, I think, aren't we?
I guess so. Yes.
We're testing that right now in the NHL. 803-0550. Again, Elliot Friedman there. Here is Jay with us. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Listen, my opinion, I could be wrong. A guy like Connor Hellebuck is going to make the difference in a lot of areas for this team because, just like you guys just said, veterans willing to come off the no trade list to come to Buffalo. But you have this all in the media now. I mean, the team that walked off the ice after Game 7 is not as good as the team that's on paper, or it was better than the team that's on paper right now. You've got to do something. Kevin Adams could have did some of these deals. And yes, a lot of us didn't like his mannerisms and the way he spoke. But for a guy that everyone's saying is swinging from his heels and swinging for the fences, those were moves that had to be made, that any competent GM could have made.
What moves are you talking about?
Bo Byram and Tuck. He knew internally that those guys weren't coming back. He's going to talk to them. He has daily contact. We don't have that. So for us to think, they're going to be back, he knew well before that they weren't coming back, especially Bo Byram. Now, I give him credit. He did a great job. He flees Chicago. But you still have to make this team a better team. 13,000 people bought season tickets. Right now, they're getting duped. And
why is today the day to call this, though?
It's not today, but Wednesday is when the no trades lists go into effect.
I mean, there are a couple.
Basically, you're looking at 24 hours.
Or 48, but
correct. Yeah. However you want to frame
listen,
it.
I feel you. Like the job. This is how I felt on Thursday. Just why I was so excited for something big on Friday that wasn't just going to be the draft picks. Because the job is to improve the team. Now you are ignoring a significant piece of all this that, there are still trades being talked about now. But as of now, he has not. I don't think he's done. He's not improved the team at all.
But who would say that he has? Who would even argue with
right?
That?
I don't think anyone.
That's the problem. The trouble I'm having comprehending this call is we know, but now it's the time to call in and say he's a failure or a disappointment. I mean, I'm not there. Have you been listening? I mean, not that your opinion on this has to reflect ours, but I'm sitting here with you talking about how we're kind of thinking that there's going to be more because there hasn't been what seemed like obvious replacements or additions from what happened last week. So it's not – you and I had this conversation several times last week. It's not done until it's done. And we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It seems weird to be like, Kevin Adams could have done this. Kevin Adams could have done what? Done a sign and trade for Alex Tuck? Yeah, okay, but what's the point? I mean, are you blaming Kekalainen for what's happened already? You could. this caller isn't, you could not like the Byram trade and say, well, why did you do that? I mean, you had a really useful player at a decent pay rate. You got another year. Make that point. You could have kept him. But this guy's not doing that. This guy's like, well, anybody could have done that. I don't know. I wasn't assuming that was going to happen.
I think the fact that he pulled the 4th pick into the boat
that too.
On that deal makes that it's a great deal. What it doesn't do is make you better right now. Like in the long run, sure. But that's there's nobody that represents improvement or supplementing or replacing yet. Zellweger counts. I mean, that is I think that is going to be someone who plays Byram's role next year. So they did do that. But yeah, I mean, if we end up, we get through Wednesday, Thursday, like the rest of this week, like you're going to be off heading into the 4th of July. I'll be back in here next Monday. And if by next Monday none of this stuff has happened, then I think that guy's got a leg to stand on. And that's not an unreasonable fear to have. Because
no, I guess that's right.
You were expecting that all like big stuff to go down on Friday, and it didn't. And now you're sort of, okay, well, I know we can still do stuff, but eventually even that's gonna go away. Like, this doesn't last forever. And if they don't pull something off by the time, again, I'm sitting here at this time next Monday, I think there'll be reason to wonder, like, what did you do to make the team better? And right now there's not an answer to that.
Well,
at best, you're hoping to tread water with Zellweger for Byram. That like that's an even that is a wash.
Okay, right.
So that's not improving. That's just holding steady. Good.
If this caller is struggling to be optimistic about it, though, or if he just wants to talk to us, if he's actually struggling to be optimistic, again, one of the points that matters, I think, here is that nobody in the conversation of big ideas got traded anywhere else in the last 4 days.
That's right.
So you still have Matthew Nyes, you still have Robertson, you still have Hellebuck, and
Larkin.
Yeah. Larkin. Buddy of mine, Islanders fan, is worried that they're going to give Matthew Barzal away, and there was some talk about that on Friday. Mm-hmm. So it's all just, I think, in the air right now. And for me, criticism of Kekalainen for not doing any of this yet really probably should wait until all of that plays out, because if he gets a better price on one or even two of those guys because he waited and didn't trade the 4th overall pick in the draft, well, that's a big win.
For sure.
We're not going to know
what
we could know, but probably won't know what he could have done on Friday. He said that people called. Like it was being reported that, what did Pierre LeBrun say? People don't expect the Sabres to make the pick at 4. And they did.
I thought I read somewhere that the hang-up on Friday was the Sabres were willing to include 4, but they wanted 8 back.
Winnipeg.
And Winnipeg balked at that.
Yeah.
That they didn't feel like they should be swapping top 10 first-round picks as part of this trade. Just, you got to give me 4. He's Connor Hellebuck.
I would say advantage Winnipeg on that.
Yeah.
Because the way the draft pool was being described, 4 and 8 were not that big a difference.
Right. I think the Sabres,
Why do I have to trade up?
Sabres very well could have.
They could have drafted this player at 8.
Right.
They probably would have been able to.
Yeah. I think that's probably
Daxon.
Right. So
how many Daxons do you know?
It's a very first.
He's the first?
Very first.
First Daxon?
Yeah.
Same.
No.
There's got to be some Daxons in like preschool.
There's a Dax Hill is a DB with the Bengals, I think. And maybe his full name is Daxon, but he just goes by Dax. I don't know.
Daxon's better if you have a 1-syllable last name. Daxon Hill?
Yeah, I agree.
Better, right?
Yep.
Daxon Rudolph is our Daxon. They're on the ice right now, or
right.
an hour ago.
They were out today. Yeah, that's right.
Development camp.
Yep.
Started today. Paul is out there. We'll talk to Paul later.
Marty's son is out there. Jacob Baran is one of the goalie invites to this camp.
When I saw that, I started looking for other names that I thought maybe were people I knew's kid. Grammar didn't really work.
I do still, when I follow enough hockey people that I've seen a half a dozen or so of these rosters for development camps. I buzz them because you never know. You're gonna know a guy.
Is it almost too long ago now?
Kind of. It's definitely not guys. Yeah, we're past the window of the guys that Owen played with, mostly.
Sadly,
yeah. Like even Jacob, I think is like 2 years younger. I think than Owen is.
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
Beck Mallenstein, by the way. 6 years.
I thought, was it you? It was you. Was it Cody Hodgson with you?
Go on.
That was like,
who were they negotiating against?
Right. Just what would you like? I'd like this.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I thought happened with Cody Hodgson.
Sort of what this how many years would you like? 6?
Okay.
All right.
Cap's going up.
Whoa.
I
did not see a 6-year commitment coming there.
Is that a record for somebody down the depth chart at forward of anybody in the history of the NHL?
There's a few teams that have done this, not with great results. I feel like Coleman, who was talked about in trade rumors from Calgary, might be a guy who signed a long deal off of like a playoff run with someone, and he's never been a top of the roster player. And I think Edmonton did this with somewhat of a tough guy. I can't think of it. Trent Frederick. I think they signed to many years, and I've seen them get dunked on for it pretty regularly.
We like this player.
Yeah, I do too, but
why not
6
3 years?
Right.
3 seems plenty.
Yeah.
6. How old is he? Late 20s? Younger?
I think 29. 28, 29, somewhere in there.
Wow. What a day for him.
Nice. That's probably, it's got to be the most security he could have ever dreamt of having. With the way his career was going, that kind of gig, what happens to guys like that? They bounce around. If they get too expensive, teams sort of right size. Well, I'm going to replace you for $1.5 million. And Sabres have chosen to
unless you're Gergensen.
Go the other way, right.
And then you just renew him every time. Yeah, Mallenstein is 29 in February. Warren Sharp today, coming up in 20 minutes. Paul Hamilton will join us later. What he saw at Prospects Camp and over the weekend with the draft. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. This is WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfalo, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
I guess depending on whether you're listening online versus your car radio or watching, maybe the ads are not always the same ads. But I'll listen to a 20-part Tom Hanks World War II series. I plan to do that. I've got a trip coming up.
All right.
That'll fill some of the time.
Sounds good.
Rest is History. One of my favorite podcasts is The Rest is History. Very popular podcast about the ABA. No, it's about history.
I see.
And
there would be history of the ABA.
Yes, and I would love that too.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you've ever heard about the ABA is awesome.
Everything has a history.
I mean, the guys made $10 a game, maybe, and just yet one of them was George Gervin. As I was saying, that's my own fault. Because we're coming up on 250, Rest is History's got a series on, the founding fathers.
All right.
And that's in my queue.
I could use a refresher there. High school was a long time ago. Or middle school.
It was for you.
It was for you. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm not disputing that. Yeah.
It was for me too.
To brush up on some things.
I graduated from high school years ago. What? You're like at 40, right?
Oh, way past.
40, way past.
40 was 3 years ago.
Did you go to?
No, I've never been there. No.
Reunions?
No, I am in touch with like the core group of friends that the group that I was a part of. That we hung out a lot. I have been in touch with some of them somewhat regularly, which I feel good about. But no, I've never made it to a reunion. I don't think I've been in town when they've had. Like, it's just the timing's been bad.
Oh,
I've got a million excuses.
You've been busy.
I've got lots of reasons.
I would go, but I was away.
Yeah. Something was more important.
Somebody's like, there's a major A-list celebrity coming to the reunion this year.
Yeah.
But he would be here, except he's at a Wilco event somewhere in the Berkshires.
Right.
Man, the Justin Bieber thing. And I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not a hater. I'm just not interested in him.
I don't really care one way or the other.
I felt like I was watching the Kate McKinnon impression of Justin Bieber. Because he had like nothing to say. They have him on that. The couch was real. The fireplace was fake. They have him on the couch with Gavin McKenna, and he just could not. He couldn't say anything. You're his huge Leafs fan. You got anything for me on the Leafs, the state of the Leafs, or nothing? He had nothing to say.
Well, he was nervous.
Yeah, maybe he was nervous. The other kid had a lot to say, McKenna, but Justin Bieber, who's been on stage every night of his life. He can't spit out 5 words.
Was it at least better than last year? They didn't do the Zoom call thing with the teams, right?
Well, 3 minutes, my ass. Excuse my language. On Friday, we're like, how long is the clock? And somebody said 2 minutes, and then, 3 minutes. What is that worth if you're going to wait 5 minutes to start the clock? That's not a 3-minute clock. That's an 8-minute clock.
Yeah, that's what that sounds like to me. Yeah.
I mean, it was, I don't know if this is right, 7:30 before the second pick was made. And I'm over here like 3 minutes, I'm naive, right? 7 o'clock start. I know they're going to be,
right.
There's going to be an introduction.
You're expecting the Sabres to pick by like 7:20 or 7:30, right?
Yeah. And I also, like you, was done after pick 20. That's as much as I gave the NHL draft. At that point, I'm sure I'll find out if there's another.
Sure, if something happens that I need to know about, I will find out. But yeah, that was my finish line for sure. Would have been whether I had to get up for the ride for Roswell or not. I mean, honestly, it was late enough by then. It was 10 after 10 o'clock, I think.
I do like Emily Kaplan a lot, and when the Vegas Ranger trade happened, it was funny. She was like on her phone, and she was asked, like, you got something? And she said, yes, and she broke the story of that trade. I was kind of thinking that was going to be us. Mm-hmm. The Sabres might have been up when that happened on Friday. Anyway, we'll get to some football next with Warren Sharp. Stay tuned.
didn't sin so long. All the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night. Said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose
Big week for the NHL starts this afternoon. The deadline for qualifying offers to RFAs is in just about an hour at 5 p.m. The Sabres do have a few on their roster, including forward Peyton Krebs and newly acquired defenseman Olin Zellweger. Then, ahead of free agency opening up on Wednesday, the Sabres did announce that forward Beck Malenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. Do stay tuned. We'll get more on it today and what we saw this weekend as Paul Hamilton will join the show at 5. There were some small trades around the NHL. Vancouver acquiring forward Brendan Gallagher from Montreal for future considerations. And then some rights were traded. A.J. Greer heads to the Ducks, while Radko Gudas goes to Florida. Former NFL running back Chris Johnson announced today that he has been diagnosed with ALS and has been diagnosed since 2025. Johnson was a 3-time Pro Bowl running back and also rushed for 2,000 yards in a season in 2009, a season that also got him the Offensive Player of the Year award. And then in the World Cup, Brazil scores in extra time to take down Japan 2-1. They will face the winner of Norway and Ivory Coast in the round of 16 at 4:30 in about a half hour. Germany's going to take on Paraguay. And then at 9, we've got Morocco going up against the Netherlands. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I look like a delivery guy. I got this purple hat in the mail yesterday.
You're matchy.
And I got a purple shirt I'm seeing on the video now, and I look like I work somewhere. The purple shirt, I look like I should be driving a truck.
It's Mike Schopp.
Like Grimace.
Right.
Oh, Grimace doesn't wear a purple hat.
No, but
in fairness to Grimace.
But there's a lot of purple.
And the Bulldog.
I mean, I don't think I'm shaped entirely that similar to Grimace.
That's right. That's fair.
It's closer than I'd like, and the clothes could get you there.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm not body shaming Grimace. I'm just saying, they're a big thing.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
You would have been proud of me for something I did today.
Oh, yeah?
I drafted Cam Ward.
Attaboy.
Best ball, quarterback 3. Davis Maddock and I. He put it to me. Do you want Ward or Mendoza? We have Bowers. But Ward is about 2 rounds earlier. And, let's just take Ward. Hear my voice? That's the level of enthusiasm with which I made this selection.
Well,
let's just take Ward.
Doesn't really matter how enthusiastic you are about it now.
Could that work?
When it pays off and you win your league on his 4,400-yard season.
Wow.
I don't know.
Sign for that right now.
I'm talking about.
Right into it with Warren Sharp.
Warren Sharp is on hold.
Would we take 4,400 passing yards this year from Cam Ward? I'll hang up and listen.
Slam dunk. Yes.
Absolutely. Would we take 3,400?
Absolutely. I don't know what his prop line is, but I can guarantee you it's probably about 1,000 yards shy of that.
There it is.
Yep.
So,
thank you for your time again today, Warren. The 2026 football preview from Sharp Football Analysis is out, and we'll talk about how you can best purchase it as we go through the day. And, of course, we want to focus mostly on the Bills here, Warren. I mean, it entirely is out already because here we are with Cam Ward questions.
Right.
But
right off the hop.
One thing I wanted to start with you on the Bills, reading Bill Barnwell, talking to Aaron Schatz, there is and us generally here for the last few years, just a lot of negativity about their weapons. You have a receiver tier chart on your Twitter, and you give them a C, like middle of the pack, wide receivers and tight ends included. Do you feel like the extent to which they're impoverished at that position is overstated? Are they maybe, I'm sort of loading the question, I guess, are they maybe sneaky a little better than they get credit for, or what?
I think that was a big problem for them last year. I know that the defense ultimately cost them, but the reality is they need more weapons for Josh Allen, and the ranking that we gave him this year is an improvement over last year because I do like the fit of DJ Moore into this offense. But, look, if you guys want to hear some nuggets and your listeners want to hear some nuggets that might blow your mind as it relates to this receiving core, I've got them in my 2026 football preview. Khalil Shakir averaged just 3.7 air yards per target. And let me put that into some perspective. There were 38 wide receivers around the league last year that had at least 90 targets. So think of it as these are our wide receiver ones. Around the league, there's just over 32 of them. These are our top receivers, one per team most likely. The average target depth for those number one wide receivers was 10.7 air yards. The next closest player to Khalil Shakir, who ranked dead last in the league, was Deebo Samuel at 5.3 air yards. I went all the way back 20 years. There have been 752 instances where a wide receiver had 90-plus targets in a season. No one averaged fewer air yards per target than Khalil Shakir. He ranked 752 out of 752. That was obviously terrible. This is Josh Allen just basically dumping the ball off, throwing it underneath, and that's your leading weapon. Khalil Shakir, here's another stat that might blow your mind, had just 8 catches that were thrown at least 7 air yards. That is absolutely incredible. A wide receiver one who isn't even catching the ball more than 6 yards down the field at all. That is mind-boggling to me. And then you look at the guys that were being targeted down the field. I mean, Keon Coleman was only 2 players of the Bills beyond Shakir that even had double-digit targets on passes thrown 15 yards down the field. Coleman caught only 7 of 18 targets out of 63 receivers with at least 15 targets thrown 15 yards down the field. He ranked 62 out of 63, or second to worst, in yards per target. So, I mean, they just do not have anybody who is causing problems for the defense, and this has a cascading ripple effect for Josh Allen himself, and is part of the reason why defenses blitzed him as often as they did on third downs, is because they had so much confidence that there would not be a receiver who could beat them down the field for big plays. And so Josh Allen, his blitz rate on third down was at 39%. That was the highest that it has been at any point in his career. And, you know, on third downs, he was taking a ton of sacks. His 15% sack rate was significantly higher than it was in 2024 at only 4.6%, and in 2023 at 6.3%. Third down sack rate, I mean, they were just sending the house at him. He didn't know where to go with the football. It was a problem for the Bills on third down. That leads to issues in terms of maintaining drives, scoring points. Now, I'm not going to say too much negative here because Josh Allen is our number one quarterback in the NFL this year. We think he is the best quarterback in the NFL. And so when you look at overall Bills statistics like passing yardage and overall offensive yardage and scoring and things of that nature, the Bills are at the top. Well, the Bills are at the top because Josh Allen is so elite, and that sort of might mask the fact that they have a clear, glaring weakness at the receiver position, and it's something that is going to continue in 2026, just not quite as bad as it was last year, but it's still something that they could absolutely use more assistance in helping with.
You mentioned, Warren, right off the hop here that you like the potential fit of DJ Moore in this offense. Like, what does he give them that they've been lacking, and is it enough?
I don't know that. Let's put it this way. It's enough for them to have success in the postseason because they've had some success without it. And so when they get it, they will have more success. I don't think, given a variety of factors, whether it was the play calling or his fit, he seemed to have confidence issues. He seemed to have trust issues with his prior stop in Chicago. You know, he hasn't been playing with, like, let's face it, Caleb Williams before Ben Johnson got there wasn't great. And even last year, the accuracy, and there's a lot of issues still, like Caleb Williams improved by leaps and bounds, but he still had a lot of accuracy issues and problems last season. They also had a lot more mouths to feed. We think he is going to be targeted a lot more in Buffalo. He's not going to have these situations where he's not getting targets, and so he feels like he's not part of the offense, and so he feels like he's not integral, and so he sort of might take some plays off, kind of like a George Pickens at times would. Like, I don't see that being the case here in Buffalo, playing with an offensive-minded head coach with an elite quarterback. And as a result, I think there are going to be things that he is going to find a lot of upside in what his role is being asked of him. It's going to be a square peg into a square hole in Buffalo, and I think he's going to I go I'll use the word flourish, but that's just based upon what he's done in the past. I don't see him, Jamar Chase type statistics, but we did bet his over receiving yards already in the prop market this offseason because we think he's going to have plenty of opportunities there in Buffalo to have some success.
Do you remember the number, Warren?
I'll pull it up while you ask me the next question. I got it here. I'll log into my app and I'll tell you exactly what it was.
My hesitation on that is more what you talked about when we started and just whether Joe Brady's offense will afford Allen and Moore the capacity for like big. I mean, he's a yards per catch guy, right? You want to get him down the field. And if they thrive in that way, maybe he clears that number pretty easily, whatever it is. But I don't know.
799 and a half.
799 and a half. Or I was thinking maybe 750. Yep. So good. That's a not an aggressive. It's not crazy or anything like that to go over. That's what they're. That's why they did it. I guess is
when you look at their schedule. If you look at the Bills' schedule this year,
yeah,
we've got the printout, but the Texans and the Lions and the Chargers and the Patriots and the Rams, those are their first 5 games. We're talking about offenses that can put up points. The Bills are going to have to trade blows with these guys all 4 quarters of the game. I mean, Buffalo was one of the highest scoring offenses in the second half of games. It was in large part because they didn't get started quickly enough in the first half of games, in the first quarter of games. It's something I wrote about a lot in the book is I believe for them to have success in 2026, they're going to have to get started faster. But their schedule is absolutely jam-packed with teams and offenses that are going to be able to put up points on them. And as a result of that, they themselves are going to have to continue to score. And I think that that's just going to there aren't going to be very many games where you're playing the Jets and the Dolphins on your schedule. You have a few, if we want to call them layup games, because you play in the AFC East where you've got the Jets twice and the Dolphins twice, and then you do have a game against the Raiders right before your bye. Other than that, I'm looking across the board. It is riddled with top 12 offenses almost every single week, and so you're going to have to score.
Yeah, and there's a new scheme too, and we'll see about how well the personnel fits in there. I mean, certainly it's well documented. I mean, they went as far as they could go. The defense never was able to come through at least enough for them to clear the hurdles that need to be cleared. So I think everyone can see why they wanted to make a change to their defensive structure, but it's another thing to actually have it on the field and have it be as consistently good as McDermott's units were, at least in the regular season. So I think that's a big question. We've talked a little bit in here, Warren, about exactly what you're talking about. Do they pivot to a more pass-heavy offense simply because they have to, because they're in games that are going to be 35-28?
Yeah, and the issue is maybe they will throughout the course of the game. The question is, how are they going to start games? And they have a really good rushing attack, and James Cook is a very underrated running back who's had a lot of production and efficiency in this offense. And so I think that they're going to be able to continue to lean on that. But the issue is they have to score points earlier in games. Otherwise, they're going to be in these situations left and right where Josh Allen has to be Superman in the second half of games. Last year, they averaged almost 9 points per fourth quarter. That was number 1 highest scoring team in the NFL. They averaged just over 7 points scored in the third quarter. That was the number 3 highest scoring team in the NFL. And Josh Allen, whether you're looking at like EPA, yards per attempt, completion rate, anything like that, he was top 2 in efficiency in the second half of games. If he's not Superman in the second half of games and they're not scoring all these points, where are the Bills, right? Like, just think about it from that perspective. Like, if Josh does pick up an injury or Josh can't deliver like that, this team is not having success. So you have to try to figure out a different way to win games and do it a little bit earlier so that maybe in the second half of games, Josh can take a breather. Josh can hand the ball up a little bit more with confidence. And that's one of the things that Daboll back in 2020, 2021 was really emphasizing with this team is getting out to explosive leads and riding on that wave throughout the rest of the game so that you could kind of maintain things as opposed to go crazy late in games. But it is definitely going to be a challenge, and I think they need to be balanced. But if that rushing attack is not giving them the ability to bypass third downs enough in the first half of games and thus forcing them into too many third downs, situations where Josh Allen's going to get blitzed or take sacks, and then they're punting the ball and they're not scoring points, that's when you really have to reevaluate, hey, I know we like Cook, and I know we don't want to start the game with Josh Allen doing nothing but, 20 dropbacks to only 5 rushing attempts, but we have to get a little bit more explosiveness as well as avoiding third downs here, and we are going to find that potentially more in the passing game than the running game. And so they're going to have to figure it out, but they can't keep doing what they were doing last year. I just don't think it's sustainable to win games like that by just requiring Josh Allen to go bonkers in the third and fourth quarter of games.
With Warren Sharp, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, never gets enough credit in any sport getting out to a lead. The comebacks get all the glory. Comebacks are famous, like they're remembered, and everybody talks about heart and not giving up. You know what? Give me a 14-0 lead and see how many games I lose. And I don't even
100%.
Right, Warren? I mean, it's just even in World Cup, like it just seems to be true in every. We love to write the good story, and even like the coin toss decision to start a game. Well, I want to know later what I need to do. I'm getting a little bit carried away on all of that. What about?
I completely agree. Look, here's the this is another stat. I spent a lot of time researching all 32 teams, but every single one of them gets the same treatment I give to the Buffalo Bills. Listen to this nugget that was in the book, exactly to your point about building leads and trying to have success early in games. Do you realize that the Buffalo Bills had the number 5 most efficient on a per-play offense last season in yards per play? They were top 3 in points per drive. Do you know that they led at halftime in just 7 out of 17 games last year? Yeah. They trailed, if you add all their games together, by 11 points at halftime in all of their games combined. So they had to be elite in scoring in the second half to come back in games. Otherwise, you're talking about flipping coins. You were losing by an average of 11 points at halftime last year. I didn't put this little nugget in the book, but I just went back and looked at it today because, I don't know how you guys feel in Buffalo. I'm not in Buffalo, but from the rest of the league, right, just evaluating from somewhere other than Buffalo, the Bills are viewed as, an elite team, a top 5 team, a team that's always going to be there in the playoffs. I went back and looked at their solid wins last year, the wins by double digits. Only one team did they beat by double digits that even had a winning record last year, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers, who obviously lost the playoff game. You were talking about comfortable wins last season were against the Jets twice, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Steelers. So 3 teams from the NFC South, which is the worst division in football. 3 games against the 2 terrible teams in your division, and then the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not a great team. Obviously, got made a change of the head coach position, just like you guys did. So, I think that the Buffalo Bills need to come out with a new approach with a new head coach, and maybe a defensive-minded head coach will play a little bit more conservatively early on in games, like Sean McDermott, like Mike Tomlin to an extent. But you now have an offensive-minded coach there, and he's got a lot of pressure on him, I'll be honest, by being a guy who's from inside the building. Everybody views it as a massive head start because the offense doesn't have to learn anything new. It's the same offense. Now we got to figure out the defense. To your point, it's going to be a challenge because you're adapting different personnel to a new scheme. But be that as it may, we're expecting a Super Bowl here very soon. We're winning games, making the playoffs, winning a couple playoff games is no longer an acceptable ceiling for the Buffalo Bills. And that's a lot of pressure on Joe Brady. And so with that pressure must come something that you're going to do a little bit differently. That's more of Joe Brady, quote unquote. That's his thing. This is what Joe Brady wants to do with this team now, where he doesn't have a coach who's potentially pulling the reins or twisting the dials to the way that McDermott wants it. And you better do something differently this year to make sure that you're making those changes and getting over the hump.
Warren Sharp on the Wester Hotline for a few more minutes with us here. It hasn't gotten as many conversations, as much column ink, and as much conversation in this room as receiver, but almost the entirety of Josh Allen's career, the Bills have been trying to find the key to unlock pass rush. They've drafted, they've Von Miller. Now we've got Bradley Chubb and a second-round pick, their first pick after trading out of the first round, TJ Parker, and a new scheme. Do you see an answer for them pass rush-wise?
I think it's going to be challenging this year, 100%. I agree with you. Only Gregory Rousseau last year returns who ranks top 50 in pressure rate out of 219 players with 150 pass rush snaps. They are losing some personnel and they're adapting a new scheme. And so it's going to be some of Jim Leonard trying to figure out what guys can. That's where good coaching comes in. Good coaching is, I've got a system and a scheme that I think works really well, but these players do X, Y, and Z really good. So I'm going to figure out a way to allow them and free them up to do X, Y, and Z while still getting as much of my scheme in there as I possibly can. And so that's the big challenge this year. And we just mentioned the schedule that they're going to be going up against in terms of these opposing quarterbacks. And life is not going to be easy for the Buffalo Bills defense and specifically for the pass rush, as you alluded to. Now, I am a firm believer. You guys were just talking about how you agreed with building leads. I'm a firm believer in that if you are successful offensively early in games, that actually helps your pass rush late in games. So when the Buffalo Bills are trailing or the Buffalo Bills are in a tight game where the opposing team's offense can hand the ball off or throw it, the playbook's entirely open, that makes life more difficult on your pass rush and your defensive play caller. However, if the offense has a lead, then the opposing offense, your opponent's quarterback, has to be more predictable. They're in more predictable situations because they're losing, and now they're not only playing your defense but the scoreboard and the clock, and so they've got to be a little bit more predictable, and as a result, your pass rush can have more success and more opportunities, and so that's another way that you can help out a struggling unit is by the opposing unit on your own team, and I wish more coaches thought to that degree about the benefit of building leads, but certainly in Buffalo, that could be a big factor in 2026.
Real quick, have you ever wondered if teams that script plays might be subject to slower starts? Because, you know, I'm an offensive coordinator. I'm going to the proverbial first 15 plays, but I'm going to definitely have some running plays in there or else I'm not really doing my job. Why am I panicking by calling only pass plays, you know, in a 0-0 game? I wonder if that correlates.
Well, I can tell you, having worked with some teams, scripting to score points is one thing. Scripting to set up things for the future is maybe more so what you're talking about, right? And that's where like sometimes Kyle Shanahan comes in. We're going to see what they do on what the defense does on this, and then we're going to build off of that in the future. So we might score more points in the second quarter, or we might score more points in the second half. Not so much necessarily in the first quarter of games. So there are different ways to script plays in your first 15, et cetera. And I was always of the notion that we're going to be aggressive early and throughout the game, but specifically early. And you want that script to try to attack weaknesses that you already know based upon your film study and based upon the data are likely to be there so that then you can put up points quickly.
Quickly, Warren, what do you think of New England?
I really like New England. I don't think their defense was anywhere close to being as good last season. Run defense was elite, but as they looked or statistically ranked because of the opposing quarterbacks and the opposing schedule that they played. I mean, it was a joke of a schedule last season. It is going to be a lot more difficult this year. They certainly have new talent this year that they're integrating at the passing, you know, A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs. We're adding some new players here to help us out offensively, but I still think from a rushing perspective, they're a step below you guys. From a defensive perspective, they're above you guys, but not as elite as I think the statistics show. They are expected to finish in second place in this division, one win less than you guys are expected to have. They're going to play the Jets and the Dolphins twice, just like you guys are, plus the Raiders. The rest of their schedule is just as difficult as your schedule, pretty much. So it's going to be a challenge. They get it started right there week 1 on Wednesday out in Seattle. So, no rest for them after losing in the Super Bowl. They have to play the Seahawks right again to start the season. But they're a very good team. I don't know what the distraction is from the coaching perspective, but I really do like Josh McDaniels and the head coach. If he's focused, if they're there, I think they've got a good coaching system and a good play caller, and I really like that team.
Warren, what's the best way for our audience to find their way to your book?
Well, you got 2 ways. If you want a printed copy, it's 619 pages. You can head on over to Amazon. If you don't necessarily need a printed copy, you can save yourself a few bucks and go to sharp.football, and use code BILLS, BILLS, and you'll save 50% off the early bird price, which gets it down to less than $15. And I'm telling you, you're not going to find a better usage of less than $15 to get prepared for the 2026 season.
All that information plus Rich Rebar. So
absolutely,
what a deal.
He's got a section on every single team, all the players that are fantasy relevant, as well as he breaks the one detailed player down in a little bit more deep depth. All of that is in the book as well. So he's outstanding.
The last time I talked to him, he said, "Look me back up when the book comes out, when the previews are out."
Yeah, he's been hard at work. Ray, our editor's been out. We've got a number of guys who've just been cranking on the book, just like myself. Now that it's done, I hope you bring him back on because he's an outstanding guest as well.
Yes, love Lord Reeves. Very good. Warren, congratulations. Thanks for your time today, and good luck.
Thanks, fellas.
Sharp.football/Bills. Early bird price is $30. It's $15 if you use the promo code. Almost forgot what that was called.
I buzzed that Bills chapter today, and the stuff about the receivers is pretty stark. I mean,
this just in?
He just told you, but yeah, if you just need more confirmation, it's there for you.
Crazy stat on Shakir historically. 803-0550 to reach us, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, back after the update here on WGR. Mike Schopp here for Awaken 180. Did you jump on
Just about a half hour until the deadline for qualifying offers to RFAs in the NHL. The Sabres do have a few on their roster, including forward Peyton Krebs and newly acquired defenseman Olin Zellweger. Then ahead of free agency opening up on Wednesday, the Sabres did announce today that forward Beck Malenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. Do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show in just about a half hour at 5 p.m. In the NFL, the Lions have released cornerback Terrion Arnold. Arnold is accused of multiple felonies, including 4 counts each of kidnapping and assault. This does come just hours after a Florida judge ruled that there is probable cause for Arnold to face these charges. In the World Cup, we are on to game number 2 of the day. Germany taking on Paraguay earlier this afternoon. Brazil, scoring in stoppage time, took down Japan 2-1. And then a little bit later on tonight at 9, we've got Morocco going up against the Netherlands. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Obviously, it's a dream when you're a young kid. I think the moment where I realized I can really do this is when I got selected first into the WHL by Prince Albert. You realize that you got an opportunity at this, and you keep your head down and keep working, and you can maybe do it.
Daxon Rudolph, 18 years old, 4th overall pick by the Sabres Friday night. Played for the, as he mentioned, Prince Albert Raiders in the Western Hockey League. You ever get there? Saskatchewan?
No.
Neither. No. Alberta? I've been to Alberta a few times.
I did enjoy when we flew to Vancouver from Toronto, the little map on the plane.
Love the plane.
Like just sort of looking at the map and trying to see how many towns I could name the teams, you know.
Like junior hockey?
Red Deer Rebels. Right.
Very good.
Lethbridge.
Broncos.
Sure.
Bronx.
Yeah.
Broncos.
Yeah, that's right.
Lindy.
Yeah.
Lethbridge.
Yeah.
Flim Flam.
Flyers.
Is it?
Yeah. I know they still have a team, but
you and I are working this out.
Yeah.
Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaw Warriors.
Is that Manitoba? Where's Moose Jaw? No, farther west.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome to the show, Flim Flom.
Daxon Rudolph.
Welcome to Buffalo, Daxon Rudolph.
I know.
I mean, on one hand, this was not a name that was being touted for the top 5. I mean, we crammed after the Sabres made the Blackhawks trade.
Yeah, we had a couple of days of no-dos and reading bios, right?
Yes. But on the other, who knows?
Yeah, right. I don't see them. The analyst that we talked to on Thursday, Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff, had, and I reposted this once I saw that the Sabres had selected him. Described him as, you know, worthy, that maybe most overlooked, or some label he put on him. Like this guy's going to be. It projects maybe to be a lot better than we're thinking right now. Like he maybe belongs in the conversation with these other guys up at the top, even though you never really saw him, you know, placed there. You know, there's stuff to round out his game, of course. So I don't see them getting like clobbered for the choice. You know, like I didn't get the impression people were like rolling their eyes at the, like, what did you do there? It wasn't that much of a reach, if it was a reach at all. I mean, it just was thought that it was going to be, you know, these other guys would go sooner. And I don't know what happened to Chase Reed. Did he go 9th or 7th?
I think maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I
can
just
check.
Feel like that he waited a little longer than was expected, considering that most mocks you looked at had him or the German guy as like the top D off the board.
He went 7th to Seattle.
Okay.
Then Viggo Bjork.
Right, your guy.
My guy.
Yeah.
Well, we have the Sabres and Winnipeg linked all the time here. And there was the one report you referenced earlier, how the Sabres might have wanted to move from 4 to 8
right.
and draft this exact player.
Right.
That might have been a good idea, but we're not able to do that. And Winnipeg sits tight at 8 and drafts Vigo Bjork.
But if they can still manage to pull off, I mean, I don't want to limit it to one trade, but if they can still make a big trade, a Hellebuyck trade would be a huge trade in the league.
Sure.
I obviously Larkin, Jason Robertson, even Nyes to me would be a big, significant move. Like, those are all the names that we were talking about before the draft. If they are still able to pull off something like that and still have made the picks at 4 and 20, I mean, there's a hat tip. There's time for I don't exactly say victory lap, but that's you will have completed this roster cycle by doing something I didn't think. I thought if they were going to make a significant move, that it would have to involve maybe 4, probably 4, at least 20. And if they made their selections on both of those picks, and if they still managed to pull off like a big move, man, full credit to them. If they didn't like the prices, so they didn't buy on the weekend. But if they still are able to do it, I'm going to assume the prices will be lower than they would have been at peak time is draft time.
Paul Hamilton will join us at 5 today. Also, the Sabres had their prospects in town for development camp, and Paul was there for that. Something else to talk about. Brian is next. Hello.
Hey, guys. So I guess one comment about the Bills and then one comment about the Sabres. Another analyst comes on your program and says the Bills don't have any receivers to throw to, and then you read Bill Barnwell's articles on ESPN, and we're ranked 29th again in terms of weapons, and I just don't know what it's going to take for this GM to finally get to the point where we can, shake our little hand to the podium and hand something in on first or second round receiver, because Skylar Bell out of UConn, 4th rounder, is the tied for the highest receiver we've taken outside of Keon Coleman. So once again, no weapons again for Josh to throw to. That's great. And then as far as the Sabres, yeah, I mean, a lot of clustered of defensemen all around there, 5 of them all in that row. The one prospect, as I kind of looked into it, is Vigo Bjork. I'd like to see how his career turns out. Drawing comparisons to Zach Benson, and do we need another Zach Benson? But it'd be interesting. But otherwise, yeah, once you got past like pick 10, you kind of got the feeling like, okay, Nyes isn't going to go. Doesn't feel like Connor Hellebuck's going to go anywhere. And then the trades, absolutely did not happen. So, once it got to 20, I agree with you guys. I turned the draft off.
That was enough. It's so awkward anyway.
Right.
For whatever reason, the NHL draft never seems to not be weird in certain ways. Warren did pump up DJ Moore pretty good. Over 800 yards. He's got a bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that this is a fair point. He spent a lot of his time with us talking about the situations that the Bills are in. And it's not a compliment to say that they don't start very well. I mean, that's not something that just happens randomly. But they are ahead a lot and thus can slow play games. I don't think that is that great of an excuse for why the Shakir target depth is so small. That's intentional. Why the passing numbers were down. They also had the league's leading rusher. And, if you have a good defense and the league's leading rusher, he's not the best running back in the league, but he was the most productive by that statistic, then you're not going to have a lot of room for 50 pass attempt games, 350 yards. That's not a point about their talent, though. That's more just what we know the recipe to have been for the Bills over the years. And if the schedule is that much tougher and the defense is not top rate, then you might see more from their guys. And there's always, too, the point the caller made about the effort that the Bills have made or not made at the position. Coleman cannot be omitted from that. I mean, not a first-round pick, technically.
Nor can Kincaid.
They both were top draft capital picks, the first picks of those 2 drafts. Free agent-wise, And you have the Diggs trade if you go back. I mean, Brandon Beane made that trade. So it's not exactly that they just have not put the effort in, the capital in at that position. They just, Kincaid is Coleman is a miss so far. And there were lots of different interesting options at that position in that draft. And I think Kincaid kind of is too, not as dramatic.
I think he's an excellent player, but I just don't know how much. Look at what the Bills chapter in Warren's book, if you get there, and his playing time is just is not. You're not getting, for a player who I think could be so productive if he could be on the field more. He just isn't, and whether that's because of timeshare or his health, like pitch count type stuff, some combination thereof, they just don't get as much out of that as you'd hope. And maybe that changes one of these years. Maybe this is that year. I don't know. But the roster is not real different at that position. They're probably still going to want to do plenty of Jackson Hawes on the field for run blocking purposes. So we'll see. I mean, if Kincaid's snaps go up at some point, if he is finally clear of the chronic, maybe is too strong, but I mean, he's had leg problems for 2 of the 3 years he's been here, I'm pretty sure.
Or even before he was here. He did not work out.
Back problems, I think, is what he had coming in, if I remember right.
That's what made him a surprise pick to some, was that
he didn't work out.
He didn't work out at the combine, and I don't know if he had a pro day or what, but there were questions about his...
I remember never thinking about him one time in the draft process, and I've said this a few times, because he, on paper, and this is really what he is, he's not a fully formed tight end. He's a pass catcher. And I thought, Sean McDermott is not drafting half a tight end. But they did. And a half is a little strong. I mean, he's got the most important part of it. He's excellent at. I never even really dug in on him because I thought, they won't do that.
When Sal reacted to it, he called it a Dorsey pick, that this was the player that Dorsey wanted. And, of course, Bean was right there with how Allen wanted him. You know, he might have wanted everybody, but he seemed to have Allen's endorsement. And Dorsey, for scheme fantasies he was having. But, it's definitely both durability and usage. And that goes back, again, to Cook and how productive he was and what they've been offensively the last 2 years. That's a lot because of what Knox can do well. And then just sort of play action opens him up a little bit. You almost haven't really needed Kincaid. That's also a little bit strong. I mean, they've won a lot of games. We'll take a break and talk some more. Paul coming up at 5. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. At the World Cup, we have Germany and Paraguay. 22nd minute, no score. Earlier, Brazil, comeback, win over Japan, 2-1. Canada, yesterday.
Late yesterday, yeah.
Also, both teams to win so far in this round scored in injury time. So, yesterday, I had some time to myself, and I decided to cross the border and find vibes, watch Canada.
All right.
In Canada.
Where did you end up in Canada?
I ended up at a bar in Niagara, town of Niagara, maybe it would be, near coming back from Niagara on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
vibes. It was not exactly. I mean, I'm sure lots of places were hopping. Not
but
exactly.
This place not particularly hopping.
Not particularly hopping. No. Plenty of good seats available.
Good TV though.
TV was fine. People were fine. I mean, I didn't need it to be crammed.
Right.
I would have left.
But you were looking for some flavor and maybe didn't get quite enough. But
Yeah, and it was fine. I left before the goal was scored. I, didn't want to sit. It's too nice a day.
Yeah.
Just sit there all day, but wanted to get a taste of it. Had them in a survivor pool. Lest anyone think that I'm just,
independently interested in Canada's World Cup status.
Right. Yeah. And I have Germany in this one. I mean, it's a little bit chalky, but you can't use a team twice. And if Germany wins, it would likely face France next. So This is my Germany spot.
Yep.
Apparently, a lot of people agree because out of a 2,000 entries still alive, 700 some are also using Germany
today.
In this game.
Right.
And I thought maybe it would be shorter, but I went to just with you check the odds, like the live odds, minus 750. They're a huge favorite to win.
Wow.
Even though the game is a quarter over.
Paraguay getting no respect.
None. U.S. dusted Paraguay. That first game was against Paraguay.
That's right.
4-0.
Mm-hmm. When do they play? I know that they're playing
Wednesday.
Bosnia-Herzegovina. Is that during our show or is it in the evening?
Wednesday evening.
All right. Good
From
deal.
San Francisco. Quote, San Francisco.
Sure.
Hey, it's as San Francisco as it is when the Niners play there. I mean, it's
That's right.
still Santa Clara, which is, what, maybe 45 minutes away?
I feel like that's about the number I hear, yeah.
Now we're in Foxborough, which is, quote, Boston. That's an hour, right? Isn't it?
I don't know if it's quite that, but it's it's in a different state almost. It's
almost in Rhode Island.
It's almost in Rhode Island, right.
Paul Hamilton on the Sabres weekend. Next, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. This is WGR.
The 5 p.m. deadline has passed as NHL clubs have to submit qualifying offers to RFAs by 5 p.m. The Sabres do have a few on their roster, including forward Peyton Krebs and newly acquired defenseman Olin Zellweger. We'll see if we get an announcement from the team on which, if any, RFAs do get that qualifying offer. And ahead of free agency, which opens up on Wednesday, the Sabres did announce forward Beck Mallenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. Do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton going to join the show. Coming up next. In the NFL, Lions, they have released cornerback Terrion Arnold. Arnold was accused of multiple felonies, including 4 counts each of kidnapping and assault. This does come just hours after a Florida judge ruled that there is probable cause for Arnold to face these charges. In the World Cup, Brazil scores in stoppage time. They take down Japan 2-1. They will face the winner of Norway and Ivory Coast in the round of 16. Currently going right now at about the half-hour mark. We've got Paraguay taking on Germany, and then at 9 o'clock we have Morocco going up against the Netherlands. Then in baseball, Yankees host the Tigers at 7:05, and the Mets, they're in Toronto versus the Blue Jays at 7:07. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Apologies to Paul for the unfortunate timing of my mentioning this, but I bet the Yankees Saturday and last night against Boston. 0 for 2.
I watched both of these games just about in their entirety.
Saturday afternoon, I thought, well, I don't really care that Garrett Cole has not had good games in Boston. Doesn't mean anything to me. So let's do that. And then last night, in the 9th inning, down 2-0. I got him at 12-1.
Oh, boy. You were looking pretty good there for a
I
bit.
thought so, too.
When the right fielder decided to try to give the game away. But
4-2 lead in the 10th.
Right.
But in the end, a 4-game Red Sox sweep. Is anyone calling it the Boston Massacre? Kind of tough when you're 10 games out.
Still
10 games under.
11 and a half out, I think, still. But 5-5, the wild card is within, striking distance.
Right. Toronto's having a miserable season. They've lost 6 in a row, all at home. Houston and then Texas, 2.5 out.
Right.
Nobody's good. All right, Paul, thanks for your patience. Again, nothing personal about my Yankees reference there.
That right fielder Blue. They were saying he's probably the best right fielder in the American League, and he blew 2 plays actually. The one allowed the Yankees to be able to tie the game, and he was in on them getting ahead by 2 runs. So he, for whatever reason, blew up twice in the 9th and 10th innings, and Boston still won the game.
Is it Rosario?
No, it was Abreu. Right, Wilbur Abreu.
Okay. Oh, for Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I heard I've not been super in touch with them, but I did watch these 2 games, and I likewise, Paul, heard him being complimented for his defensive prowess, and then it's like, dude, what are you doing with that? What is that throw? What are you doing?
Oh, that's right.
Don't you think maybe that ball slipped out of his hand? That was that bad.
It was
that bad of a throw.
It was that far offline. Yeah. Right.
Well, you might just want to throw it as far as you can and just hope somebody's going to be there. Sometimes, right? There are quarterbacks who play
where
that
he
way.
threw it, there would have been maybe a bird or something. There would have been a baseball.
The dugout
is way offline. Yeah.
The dugout was in the way.
Yeah, I did not follow up to see if he talked about it afterward. I assume he was asked if he was made available. So I don't know if it slipped or what, but it was a horrendous throw.
So thanks for joining us, Paul. The Sabres just in the last couple of minutes announced the qualifying offers. Is that the right terminology?
Qualifying offers for Krebs and Zellweger, the defenseman they traded for on Friday from Anaheim. Those are the only 2 that they're reporting.
Yeah, they had the 4 on the Amerks. I did not actually send a text just to make sure that those 4 were not qualified. Zach Jones, I would imagine, would not want to come back. He never got the opportunity to play. And, he came from the Rangers, so is a guy who had played in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine that he would want to come back. But he would have been one of the
right.
Yep. Nope. They said that's right. The
Just
four
the two.
Amherst were not qualified, so it's just the two Sabres.
And the two that
Krebs and
were,
Zellweger.
were formalities, right? There was never.
It would have been news if certainly
Yeah.
after just trading for Zellweger, that would have been ridiculous, and Krebs would be news if they passed on that. I think
It would be, but you know how squirrely that GMs get with arbitration, which he has.
Yeah.
And there's still very often like the morning of the arbitration hearing, teams come to an agreement because really neither side wants to go to arbitration. Really.
Yeah.
So very often they figure it out like the morning of the hearing.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, if Krebs' name has come up a time or two talking about potential trade packages, and this does not rule that out. I mean, you obviously want to keep his rights and have him under your control if you want to make him a part of something, Paul. And how likely do you think it is now that we're through the draft but not yet to free agency? It's very interesting to both Mike and myself that we woke up to Elliot Friedman still talking about the Sabres and the Jets sort of being engaged on a Hellebuyck deal. Hellebuyck was willing to waive. Still seems like that's percolating, and I don't know. How are you viewing the trade market right now?
It is just everybody's asking too much, and so the quote big fish are not moving because the prices are just way too high. Whether they come down is anybody's guess. I saw, the fourth overall pick and Jack Quinn and Luukkonen. The fourth overall pick is an overpayment, but I'm not sure Luukkonen and Jack Quinn get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd have to come off of Jack Quinn if I don't think Winnipeg's going to accept that. Knowing Jarmo, he probably wanted to switch the fourth and eighth pick and then deal with prospects, and flip it. And Winnipeg wouldn't want to do that. It's just, and the thing is, the number 4 and 20 are still in play. It's just they're players now instead of picks. You can still trade the number 4 overall pick. It's just now the team they know who they're getting. They don't have the option of picking somebody. So just because the Sabres have made the picks doesn't mean they won't trade the guys. Either at 4 or 20 to make a deal if the other teams like those players that Buffalo drafted.
How much, if at all, are you? I don't know. Warming up is a sloppy way to phrase it. You didn't want to trade the fourth pick for a goalie. You had no qualms about saying that bluntly. Like I do, no way, no how, never want to do it. Doesn't matter who the goalie is. Pretty much is how you felt about it. Now that we're past that. Assuming that they don't include the fourth overall pick in the draft in a trade, how open are you to a Hellebuyck trade?
I'm open to being better at the position, but he's coming off a pretty bad year. So what does that mean? Does that mean he just had a bad year? Does that mean at age 33 he's starting to lose it a little bit? None of us know. I mean. So you are taking a risk when that way.
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy who has never performed well in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but you can point to Bobrovsky. He, for years, didn't perform well in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then all of a sudden he did, and he won 2 Stanley Cups. Both of them are very good regular season goaltenders and have won all sorts of hardware because of it. But so there's that. If you do get him, you're probably done. That means you're not replacing Alex Tuch and you're going with the younger players.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going basically with the team you're looking at right now and Hellebuyck in goal. And basically, I kind of would venture and say you're probably, if you're going to make the playoffs or do anything, you're going to have Hellebuyck stand on his head. Because, you've lost arguably your best forward. You've lost your third best defenseman. You've got some other talent, but it's going to be hard for youngsters to fill in for what Alex Tuch does, at least right off the bat. I mean, I think they're eventually going to be very, very good players, but I don't know if you want to put that on them right off the bat when, maybe they should be down a little bit in the lineup for a year or so,
mm-hmm.
and then you pop them up into the top of the lineup. But You probably would at 8.5 would have to maybe get rid of a guy, and this is your team. It would be the team you're looking at right now with Hellebuck, and I'm not sure that gets it done.
Paul, so Daxon Rudolph, the 4th overall pick. How much time, my answer for myself is none. How much time did you spend on him or even with him potentially at the Combine or something? You and I didn't talk about him.
There was no need to, because he wasn't going to be available at 27. So
right back then,
you know,
right, or 20,
yeah,
right,
or 20.
right.
There wasn't any need to, and the Sabres didn't. And so next thing you know, they're at number 4. So he wanders over the morning of the draft over to the Sabres offices. They have their meeting then, and they talk about it. But as Kekalainen said, that meeting is more so everybody in the organization gets a chance to know him. There are scouts all season long that the Sabres have that already talk to him. They talk to him at the game, after the games, or they talk to the coaches after the game. So it's not like nobody from the organization had ever talked to them. It's just that's what the meetings are for in the Combine, to let the scouts sit in and the GMs sit in, and very often Terry Pegula to sit in and get to know some of these guys that might become Buffalo Sabres.
How much did Kekalainen talk about how they landed on this player, Paul, as opposed to the German kid or Chase Reed from Sault Ste. Marie, and end up on Daxon Rudolph?
He said that it was unanimous amongst the scouts. They all felt he was the top defenseman in the draft. And then they gave their reasons why. He's got size. He, of course, is very good offensively, but is also good defensively. He has an edge to him, which they like. Mm-hmm. So just a lot of things that they felt made him. And the guy that most people thought was the number 1 defenseman was the 4th defenseman off the board.
Right.
Not the first. It reminds me a little bit when Wright was supposed to be the first guy off the board in his draft, Shane Wright, and now he wound up being, I think he was 4th overall. I don't have my computer to look it up, but I'm pretty sure he was 4th overall, and now Seattle's looking to trade him, get rid of him. I mean, he hasn't worked at all, but he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick, and here's Reed, was supposed to be the best defenseman in this draft, and most people felt the Sabres were going to get him because 3 forwards were going to go in the first 3, which happened, and the Sabres went another way. And then other defensemen kept going, and Reed was the 4th defenseman off the board. So it'll be interesting to see how this all breaks down throughout the years.
The 2nd pick the Sabres made on Friday night at 20, Ilya Morozov from Russia. What do you know about him?
It's funny. I mean, he's huge for a forward. He's 6'3" already. He's 17. He's not even 18 yet. He was the 2nd youngest college player at Miami University, which for anybody that doesn't know is Miami of Ohio. It's he was more of a two-way guy. And being 17 in college hockey, remember, a lot of guys aren't true freshmen, so they play in junior in the USHL for a couple of years. So he's going up against guys
22-year-olds.
22. Yeah, at 17. So don't get fans don't get excited that he didn't have great numbers offensively, at age 17, 8 goals and 12 assists for 36 points. But he was a very good two-way player. He's a guy that came over at age 14 to learn the language and to learn things. He's a straight-A student at Miami University. It's just everything he seems to do, he is able to accomplish, and has been really impressive to people that have run into him. So, it's one of those things at 20. And that when the Sabres moved up from 27 to 20, I almost remember I talked to you. I said, I know Jerry Thornton has a guy in his mind.
Yeah,
I know he does.
Right.
He had a little group of guys, and this was one of them. And he was the last one of the group that was still there.
Didn't I read that Morozov himself noticed, did he not comment after the draft, that he noticed the Sabres moving from 27 to 20 Because he thought like maybe the consensus rankings that he was looking at had him pegged as around 20. So like, he thought it was notable.
Yeah.
He paid attention when the Sabres moved. He's like, that's where I could go. That's where I'm projected to go. So it's pretty neat that it worked out that way.
Yeah, and Jerry Fort knew he wasn't going to get him at 27 or any of this group. And he said there was a significant drop-off between this group and the next group, which is another reason why they wanted to get out of 27 and get up to 20, because it was a significant drop in the quality of player.
Paul, I hear activity behind you. Are you still downtown
Yeah,
development
I just
camp?
stayed here. Yeah, well, actually, St. Joe's is playing right now. I saw Rob Ray bouncing around here, but he didn't say hello to me. But so his son probably is on the ice here. And I stayed down here. I'm actually in the middle of writing my article. I figure I might as well because I have the TV show on Channel 2. This is actually our last Monday until football season. So I figured I'm already down here. There's no sense driving home. So I'm doing some work here with a hockey game behind me, it's in front of me. And, once I get the article written, I'll head over to the TV studio.
Anything stand out from the first day of development camp today?
No, not really. You don't get too much out of it. It's just basically drills. And the thing is, you really don't get much out of it from the fact that they do a lot of dry land training before they get on the ice. The players that we talked to were like whipped. They were like,
Right.
okay, can we get this over with? We want to kind of go to bed because, they were on the treadmills, getting killed. And then, they wound up on the ice getting killed. And so it's hard to kind of pick up because they're fatigued before they even make the ice. But I did get a picture I sent out of the three huge defensemen, Kleber, Murtka, and Sturbeck. They were all standing together, and I'm going, wow.
Mic drop.
Let's just leave it there.
And end it on wow.
It's an
They all should end on wow.
Appropriate way to end the thing. Paul, if you can hear us, you're good. Onward for you. Paul's appearance with us brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. I don't mean to make a decision to blow that off, but if you got more for Paul, we can bring him back. But I'm good.
Murtka, last year's number one. What's the plan for him? I mean, he's a tryout, right? To make the roster.
What do you mean?
Well, he'd be considered.
I guess he'd be considered. Yeah, I think he's a long shot.
Do you? Okay.
I do. I mean, that's sight unseen. I mean, it's possible he has improved through the season. His, off season is really now. So I guess he could, work on his skating or his strength or something and show up and just be like ready to play in the NHL. But for me, the minute they picked him, it was interesting. They kept him around like they did. And then he went to Rochester and then he eventually went back to juniors. I just felt like a guy that age, that size with that toolkit, that's a project. Like that to me, if you think any first-round NHL defenseman could take, like Paul will often tell you, like how long it took Dahlin, not to get here, but to actually become Dahlin, you're talking about many years. I feel like a kid like this, like Murtka, is going to be on the higher end of timeline. Like it's going to take time for him to put it all together because of just there's a lot of rawness, I think, to his game, or there was. And I'd be surprised if enough of that got ironed out to the point where he'd be an option here.
In one season in Seattle,
right,
juniors.
Right. So maybe that ends up if he's. I think he was. I mean, he was in Rochester, so he was eligible to do that. I think because of his status, like he's not North American, so he could have been, but they wanted to get him back to juniors, so he didn't stick in Rochester. Maybe that's where he's ticketed for next year. I don't know. But to me, it would be very surprising with their roster, with the trade they made on Friday, and Timmins is still here. You've got Metz is still here. I would just anticipate that it's a pretty crowded room right now for him. And I don't think they need him. But, again, if he surprises and is more polished than I'm suggesting he is right now, maybe they could have to, he could force them to make a decision, I suppose. But I feel like their D are known already, right? I think the kid Zellweger slides into Byram's spot. Timmins and the guy. What's the name of the guy they got from Chicago? I can't think of his name.
Crevier?
Right, yeah, that's it. I think that's a third pair guy. And so they got 7 guys right now that I think are outranking Murka.
I just thought of 2 more things I would have brought up to Paul had he not left us so abruptly.
Well, here I'll try to. I'll be Paul. I've always wanted to do this.
One is that he called Justin Bieber on Friday. Paul
called Justin Bieber.
He called the celebrity correctly.
Oh,
who was going to be?
He knew. Okay, wow, good job, Paul.
Major A-list celebrity introducing the Leafs pick at 101 in the draft. I think there were 2 names.
Him or Drake.
Yeah. I couldn't think of anyone else who it wasn't going to be Anne Murray. Due respect. It was somebody associated with the Leafs.
Michael Myers.
Mike Myers.
Yeah,
he's not A-list anymore.
Isn't there a new one of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, right.
Yes, but
Thank
he's
you.
not. I don't think he's A-list. Or, as Emily Kaplan put it, major A-list.
Yeah. Bieber is?
I guess Bieber still is.
Yeah.
I don't know. You sell out arenas?
I have no idea.
Drake is.
I honestly don't really know what he ever has been up to.
I can't help you.
He could have as many records out as the Kardashians, for all I know. I really don't. I have no idea. I assume he's a recording artist.
Yes, that much. I can confirm.
Yeah,
I can confirm.
Some acclaim.
So that was one thing I could have said to Paul, because Paul was correct in his
All
prediction. He doesn't like to make predictions, but he had that.
That's
one
right. He had that nailed.
And the other is he described Byram as the Sabres' 3rd best defenseman. Who's second?
Power.
Not Samuelson. Would it be possible that Paul or somebody could rank? Yeah, sure it could be. Byram above Samuelson?
Yeah, you could.
I wonder if he might have said Samuelson second.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he. See, I
Byram to me a clear 4th.
Yeah.
But you don't have to agree with that. Paul certainly doesn't. Paul ranked him higher than that. Ranked him 3rd.
I do. I happen to agree with that.
With Paul.
No, with you.
With me.
With that Byram was the 4th of 4 of 4.
4 of 4.
4 of 4. Yeah.
Not that it had to be by
no,
miles.
right? No, I think you were always lower on him than I was. But the stats don't lie. I mean, there are defensive shortcomings. I'm real. I don't want to get carried away with how interested I am, but I'm pretty curious to see how that hits. Like if he's going to play 27 minutes a night and anchor the power play, which they're going to pay him. They're going to pay him $12.5 million or something here in a few days. He's absolutely going to get the runway to do all that stuff, and I'm just really curious to see how it goes. That is not a fully formed team yet, and they could that could be rough for a little bit there. I think. The fact that this kid that they got in the trade, Crevier, was playing top 4 minutes there, and some people were describing him as their best defenseman, I think that's a nice compliment to the kid, but it also does shine somewhat of a light on what they had in the room as far as defenseman goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not much. So, it's all laid out there for Byram. I just don't know. He wants this. He should want it. He's got a tremendous toolkit. He's a great skater, powerful skater, good puck handler. I don't know. I don't know about him playing 27 minutes a night without Darlene on his hip. Or Power.
Or even
for that
Power.
matter. Yeah, right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
We'll take a break. 803-0550 for your calls. We still have Connor Hellebuck speculation, which still for me is the same as last week. I believe everything, but I doubt the Sabres would be bothering in this if they really didn't want to do it. Sure, everybody has their price, but it sounds to me, and to Bulldog too, that, why do we have this particular speculation? There's got to be some smoke there, right? So, do you want it? At what price? Lines open for your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
The Buffalo Sabres have announced they've extended qualifying offers to forward Peyton Krebs and defenseman Olin Zellweger. Both were en route to be RFAs this summer, and then ahead of free agency opening up on Wednesday, the Sabres announced earlier this morning that forward Beck Malenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. In the NFL, the Lions have released cornerback Terrion Arnold. Arnold is accused of multiple felonies, including 4 counts each of kidnapping and assault. This does come just hours after a Florida judge ruled there is probable cause for Arnold to face these charges. And then in the World Cup, we've already got one game done. Brazil takes down Japan 2-1. They'll face the winner of Norway and Ivory Coast in the round of 16. At the half, Paraguay leads Germany 1-0, and then the final game of the day at 9, we'll have Morocco going up against the Netherlands. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Galassa, and they've scored! And Caesar against the run of play!
Against the run of play is a good one. Love soccer for all the different terms and expressions you just don't get from any other sport. So Germany, I don't know, I'm working, but didn't look to me from what I saw of this first half, Germany trailing Paraguay by that goal 1-0, that Germany was like
head and shoulders above, better, like controlling the game. Yeah, right.
They had the ball, but they didn't get that close, Germany, in the first half. It's only halftime.
A lot of soccer left.
So much soccer left. Not even as much, more than we even know. It's an indeterminate amount of soccer.
Right, that's right.
There'll be 45 minutes, then an extra amount.
Arbitrarily some time extra, added on. Right.
At least 3 minutes because of the hydration breaks in each half, added to each half. I am in a World Cup survivor pool. I have 2 entries that made it through the group stage, and you have to pick 2 teams in this round. I picked, I forget which was which. Canada, maybe. I had 1 Canada and 1 Brazil. And then Germany. And there are a little bit less than 2,000 people left in this. 705 picked Germany. I'm one of them.
Be pretty big if this Paraguay result holds.
Yes. I'll be happy for my other one. But I'll lose one. And nobody picked Paraguay. 0. 5 picked Japan. That was a closer spread than this one.
Yeah.
Brazil versus Japan. But Germany is down in the match.
And what do we got? Not till 9 after this goes. It's halftime now.
Right.
And then we got to wait till 9 for the next.
Right.
Come on.
Netherlands, Morocco. I think from Monterrey.
I really want to see that. I will see at least the start of it. Maybe I'll even stay up for the whole thing. Who knows? But I'm going to miss that 7 o'clock. Or 6 o'clock. That window there. I like that window. It's a good window for me.
I'm liking the late ones though. Also, I'm staying with it. Netherlands, Morocco is 9 o'clock, and that is in Monterrey, Mexico. Winner gets Canada. Canada plays on July 4th. USA plays on Canada Day, July 1st.
Who was Friday? Was Turkey a U.S. Friday night, or was that Thursday?
That was not Friday.
It was Thursday. Yeah, I think it was Thursday.
Me too.
Whatever was going on Friday, I ended up watching Friday. I've realized now I did the ride for Roswell this weekend. Took part in the ceremonial procession peloton on Friday night, and then the 45-mile ride on Saturday.
You were on TV.
Yes, I did a spot with Anna Bonini on Channel 2 during the news. My parents watched. I was very they watched. I called and demanded that I just pointed out, hey, I'm going to be on TV. So I knew they'd be watching, and. But what I've realized is, when you're going to get a long drive or you're going to the airport in the morning, the sleep is sort of elusive. That was me Friday night. Like Friday night, I knew there was a match started at 11, and I was in bed way before that, but I was wide awake. I just could not get to sleep. Like, all right, well, there's soccer on. I'm just going to turn the soccer on. I don't remember who was playing, but I just remember feeling utterly defeated that I could not get to sleep. I had the alarm set for 4:30, I finally did get to sleep around midnight and woke up at 3:45. I don't know. I want to be rested for this, but I don't know, the adrenaline, the excitement, I don't know. Like, I just couldn't sleep. I was up, couldn't wait to go ride my bike.
But you don't remember who played?
I don't remember who was playing. No, that's why I thought because I remember I didn't.
That's
work.
soccer for you,
right? I guess so. I guess so. Yeah.
It really is. Like, just based on my or your level of interest, I think it really is. I am watching the hell out of this tournament. Every Saturday morning during Premier League, if I'm home and free, I will turn a game on, and I never care who's playing.
Right.
They're all the same team to me.
Sure.
I mean, Everton, sure.
Sure.
I'll tell you.
United for me.
Oh, it's Everton.
Right.
I can't take the garbage out because it's Everton or something. I mean, not really.
Right.
West Ham, give me any, Burnley, any of them. Ipswich. I beat you to Ipswich. Give me Ipswich.
It's Ed Sheeran's team.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You probably told me that before.
Yeah.
Give me Ipswich and Nottingham Forest.
Tractor Boys, I think they're called.
They're all the same to me. Just any two teams.
Yeah, no, I know. And this, I don't think, this is not something to brag about, so let me say it, now on the radio, presumably with maybe a couple dozen people listening, and maybe watching on the Twitch. I don't think I've ever watched as much of a sporting event without knowing exactly what's at stake in each match. Like, I think I had to ask you guys the last day I was in here on Thursday, who needs what here? Because I just, the standings, I have not really been now. It's, it's cut down to 32 teams now. It's a little easier to manage. But I was not paying attention to the standings. I didn't really know that I had to look at 3 of my 4 teams in the pool we have here getting through to the 32, but they did. 2 of them are playing each other, so that's tough. I'm going to lose somebody as soon as they play because
right.
So that's a tough break. But I'm just not. I guess I'm not that invested in who's going to come out, who's going to win. I mean, I know some of the guys on the famous teams in the big favorite countries and all that, but I'm just not. I'm just riding along. I'm a super casual at this point. I'm the person that turns the Bills game on and goes like, is Josh Allen still their quarterback? Like, if that person exists, that's me with the World Cup.
Here's me with the World Cup.
Right. I've
written out the brackets.
I've never even looked at a bracket. I just whatever. I'm just here.
I'm just trying to plot out this course so I can win the big jackpot,
right?
Which I will not in one case if Germany loses. But, they're 1-0. Yeah. And I will sit there and stare at the laptop with the brackets right in front of me for hours and get nothing done intellectually toward what I need. I have to write it out. When I can write it out, then
now
I have a chance.
Right, I understand.
But I even tried a spreadsheet and still couldn't get anywhere.
So I wonder, how much should I be tempering how I'm describing, how into the I'm watching it's on every moment I'm watching TV. I finally got around to watching some baseball because,
Yankees Red Sox.
The Yankees Red Sox last night, Saturday afternoon. There just wasn't just yesterday. It was not till 3:00, so there was only the one game. All I've been watching is soccer, but I don't really have a handle on what's happening.
Well,
you know what I mean? So I don't know how into it can I claim to be. I'm watching it.
Again, I'm much the same, and I like sports like this sometimes.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Imagine watching the Bills, where you sat down on Sunday at 1 and didn't know who they were going to play.
Right.
You're just sort of it's time for the Bills. Who are they playing this week? Oh, Miami. Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
I used to like when they
Good
played
rivalry.
Miami. Right.
I mean, there's nothing bad about it.
No.
Any way you want to consume it, but I like that this is not that stressful. Who wins? I mean, there are a lot of fans, I think, with USA,
of course,
that are really into that, and that's great. I'll be cheering for them.
Sure,
Unless
me too.
I have a bet against them, I'll be cheering for them.
But them going out will not change one thing about how I'm consuming this tournament.
Right.
I'll keep watching it just as much as I've been watching it. I love the spectacle of it. If it's not too much to say, the theater of it, the fans, the colors, what city are they in? all of it. The parades marching to the stadiums. It's fantastic to watch. And
the diving.
None of the diving. None of the people involved, be they the match announcers or the studio people, are familiar enough to me to be annoying.
Right.
So and they are telling me things that I don't know, which, again, if you're very casual about the bigger North American team sports, those shows can serve that purpose for you. But if you're as far into it as a lot of us are, those shows are mostly annoying because, whatever. You're telling me stuff I already know, or you're telling me stuff that's wrong, provably, or whatever. Or I just don't like the way you talk because I've watched you do it too much. This is all sort of, I don't know, I'm unspoiled.
Right.
Watching this.
Yeah,
It's just like,
that's me too.
Okay, I'm a clean sheet, whatever you want here.
I am
All
annoyed
good.
by almost every announcer except for in soccer, where I like literally all of them. I can't think of anybody that that's been bothering me. I got the Red Sox on the radio on Saturday, and that guy makes me crazy. I don't even know his name. Max Schumann was at bat or something for the Yankees, and he's like, impossible to see his name and not think of Seinfeld. And then somebody says, I wonder if he was ever a postman or something. And, are they thinking of Newman? They must be talking about Newman. The guy's name is Schumann. Really? That's not a common enough name for you to think that, it's obviously Newman? I don't know.
Wow, that's a miss.
There was a lot going on that. I caught 2 innings of that game, and I was going crazy.
That's a miss.
I had to turn it. Well, it's not literally true. Turn the channel so I didn't drive off the road. But we might have that effect.
Well, I don't know who. Boy, now you're opening a door that I'm not sure how eagerly I want to run through. But the booth it was Peacock last night had Red Sox Yankees, because that's a thing now apparently.
Yep.
And I recognized the play-by-play guy, his face, and I recognized his voice, but I'm not sure of his name. A youngish guy with glasses. And
was it Benetti?
Maybe. The booth, the analysts were Clemens, like Roger Clemens.
No way.
I am not kidding you.
Really?
Roger Clemens was in the booth.
Really?
With Will Middlebrooks.
Okay.
And
last night?
Yeah.
I watched that game.
There was a Anthony Rizzo is in the dugout, they've got that piece covered. And I don't know if Clemens was there all night, but he was there for a long time. And I didn't know he was even in that. I had no idea.
You're sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm positive. It was Clemens and Middlebrooks.
Okay.
What is happening here?
I
had no idea.
I don't know.
It was,
I know the guy on Seinfeld was Newman, though.
It felt very much to me like, how do I want to put it? They hadn't worked together much, it seemed. It was just the play-by-play guy tried to tee them up with something that he thought was going to be funny a couple times, and nobody took it. It was an awkward.
I think it was Jason Benetti.
Awkward.
It's a guy Sam doesn't like. I don't have a Benetti problem.
Yeah.
Sam has a Benetti problem.
Yeah.
Apparently. I can take him.
I think he was scared of Clemens.
Roger Clemens.
Which is
Roger Clemens
maybe understandable.
Is in George's box. Except last night he was in the booth.
Yeah. At Fenway.
Oh my goodness gracious. I only say, oh my goodness, the Susan Waldman way anymore. Oh my good. I get 2 goods in there the way she did on that legendary moment. Oh my goodness gracious. You'll hear it almost every night in my house with the dog. Dog rolls over. It's belly time. Oh my goodness gracious. Roger Clemens is in George's box. So good. 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. July 4th, just days away. Get ready for summer and the holiday. The place to buy a case, Outlet talking about World Cup there for a minute, it can't go unmentioned that Algeria-Austria finish. That was Saturday night, the last game of the group stage, were two teams that only needed ties to advance. Now, I was a sucker. I bet 2.5 units, Trista would say.
On the tie.
On the tie. So I got to that game, and what is this? 1-0. Oh, 1-1.
Okay.
2-1. Come on. 2-2. And that was about with a half an hour left. And then they figured it out, Algeria, and just passed it around for half an hour. Until somebody decided, why not?
I'm going to go for it.
They passed it in, and the goal was scored. One of the announcers said, did somebody fall asleep on the field to allow that to happen? What happened? And the crowd sounded like it was just stunned. I mean, this game was supposed to end in a tie.
Right.
So Algeria takes the lead, 91st minute, maybe. Austria kicks it down, corner kick, goal, 3-3. What a lucky break.
The last action of the game was the goal, right?
Yep.
All right, we don't need to kick off again. We're good.
Let's just end it.
Right. Everybody got what they wanted.
Put everybody out of their misery here. We all got through it. It does end in a tie. Imagine a game like that where neither team weren't even better off winning necessarily. Like Algeria would have had to play Spain instead, and the tie was like the perfect result. Not great for sports,
right?
But still, like this game should end in a tie. And it does, but it's 3-3. Crazy. But, ultimately, what happened is what was supposed to happen.
I wonder how many people bet it, the draw, but also with the exact score 0-0.
Yeah.
I'm just expecting these teams to go stand around for, an hour and a half, and I'll just, I'll collect my winnings, thank you.
There is a great, I know the show will never have sounded older than this, but there is a great Monty Python skit where it's a soccer game between like philosophers, the Greeks against the Germans or whatever it is, and they start the game. Somebody blows the whistle. Everybody, like the Greek players, are all in togas and they're dressed not like soccer players,
like Greek philosophers.
Yeah,
right.
And Plato, Aristotle, they're in the lineup. There's this great skit, and the whistle is blown to start the game, and nobody does anything. They don't know what to do. They've never played soccer. Like, why would they know what to do?
They're philosophers.
They just walk around, and they've got books, and they're reading their books, and the game is almost over when somebody figures out what the play is, and they execute this perfect 4, 5, 6-way passing play and score. That's what the Algeria goal for 3-2 looked like to me. Like, everybody's just getting through this. We're all in this together. Boom. Lightning. But then again, Austria got even.
Yeah, that outcome, the draw putting both of those teams through, we were talking about that while we were golfing last Saturday.
Yeah, it was set up to happen.
It was trending that way, and we got the result that was expected, just not the way we thought with the late drama like that. Yeah.
Algeria plays Switzerland July 2nd in Vancouver. Austria moves over to play, not that you care. I can't find them now.
I do care.
Spain.
I care.
That's who got Spain in L.A. on the same July 2nd. USA and Bosnia-Herzegovina Wednesday, July 1st, 8 o'clock our time. From San Francisco. If they win, they go to Seattle for a game on July 6th. USA. We'll talk some more about Connor Hellebuck after this upcoming break. Travis Yost has a piece on him. Travis will join us on Thursday. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550. This is WGR.
Earlier this afternoon, the Buffalo Sabres announced that they have extended qualifying offers to forward Peyton Krebs and defenseman Olin Zellweger. And then the Sabres did get the day started ahead of free agency on Wednesday, announcing that forward Beck Malenstein has signed a 6-year deal with an average annual value of $2.9 million. For more on both of these, we do have pieces up at our website, WGR550.com. In the NFL, Lions have released cornerback Terrion Arnold. Arnold is accused of multiple felonies, including 4 counts each of kidnapping and assault. And this comes just hours after a Florida judge ruled that there is probable cause for Arnold to face these charges. To the World Cup, we are in the second half of Paraguay and Germany. The game is tied 1-1 in the 67th minute. Earlier today, Brazil scoring in stoppage time to take down Japan 2-1. And then at 9, we've got Morocco going up against the Netherlands. While in baseball, the Yankees host the Tigers at 7:05, and the Mets, they are in Toronto versus the Blue Jays at 7:07. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp.
We were having a very serious conversation about mayonnaise here.
And the Bulldog.
And don't even talk to me about weed.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
As we were discussing 3 hours ago, there still seems to be some expectation that the Sabres and Winnipeg Jets are working toward a trade that would send Connor Hellebuyck to the Sabres. The insiders are talking about it. Elliot Friedman, I heard say that he believes Hellebuyck would allow a trade to the Sabres. That's one aspect of this. And Travis Yost has written about it, and he would be the first person I'd want to read when it comes to, all right, what do we think we're getting?
Yeah, what do we want here? Do we want this?
Do we want this? So Travis is, I think, for the most part, simpatico with, goalies are voodoo and, some of the unpredictability at that position for starters. He says how, and I guess I wouldn't have gone this far, but any trade for Hellebuyck, the offer would be extraordinary. The ask is going to be extraordinary at least.
Right.
And so maybe that's the simple case of where the Sabres and Jets are at, which is the Sabres might want to be paying for the goalie that played last year for Winnipeg, which was just okay.
And the Jets are probably trying to trade the U.S. Olympic hero.
Yeah, who was maybe the best in the league for 5 years
and
before that.
Was the MVP and the Vezina winner just the season before, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So simple analysis. He does compare Hellebuyck to several other big-name goalies over the years in terms of their later years, up to age 37. Hellebuyck is 33, and you're getting him for 5 years under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Luongo and Lundqvist, and he points out how Lundqvist really never cracked his whole career. He stayed at an elite level, whereas Luongo, when he went to Florida, back to Florida, I guess, dipped.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be getting late-stage Roberto Luongo here.
No, you don't want to buy a dip.
No,
never,
what it would cost.
Never buy the dip. All right.
Sometimes, it
can be smart. It can be a good bet because the price is way lower. But in this case, I don't think, despite a down year and 3 tougher playoff seasons in a row, which is basically what I would say Hellebuyck's had. Prior to that, he had a couple of very good playoff runs. One that was somewhat deep, I think, into the third round, and he had an excellent 917, 920 type save percentage. And it's much earlier in his career. The story on him lately, really on the Jets, on him is that he has not delivered when they really needed it. And that can be tough. That it's still goalie. Like one of the first things I said about this idea is, sure, you want to look at the playoffs and go, I'd like to get better there. I think there's room to get better there off of what we saw in the playoffs. Well, yeah, we're talking about 13 games. 82, the goaltending, I think, was a strength of this team. And furthermore, Connor Hellebuyck could have been in goal on that winning shot, and any goalie could miss that shot. It's a knuckleball. It dipped, and sometimes that's how it goes. So it's not been my favorite idea, but I'd be lying if I told you it's not growing on me because I feel like I need something to happen. And at least we know that there's reporting going on that still connects Winnipeg and Buffalo, that they haven't left this idea by the side of the road because the draft is over. Now, that doesn't mean you can't still engage on Matthew Nyes or Dylan Larkin if you ever were even in the room on Dylan Larkin. Yzerman, the latest I saw from Yzerman post-draft is like, I got to do what's best for the Detroit Red Wings, and I've heard the request. Maybe.
I
don't really know what I'm going to do yet about it because I'm not just going to give this player away. He's under contract for 5 more years, I think is something Yzerman said. So he maybe is playing a little hardball there and probably behind the scenes trying to facilitate the best deal he can because I don't think you want to hold a player there that doesn't want to be there. But, stranger things have happened. So any of these trades could still happen, but the Hellebuck, there's still that chatter. And so the idea is kind of growing on me because I feel like it's the big move that maybe can still get made. And it's a respectable enough idea. But I always preferred doing something to the forward ranks more so. And again, it's not to say that can't happen. But I think free agency looks pretty dire, in my opinion. Like I don't like the idea of the Sabres going into free agency, and I doubt that they like this idea, to try to replace Alex Tuch. I think that's a losing proposition. I don't think the guy's out there. So maybe you can still make a trade. If you make this Hellebuck deal, who knows? I mean, they could open up, depending on how big the ask is. If it's not all just kids, Luukkonen will be involved. Maybe a McLeod is involved. And that domino, if that domino falls, then maybe some other stuff. Maybe that's what Vincent Trocheck was, even though I was hearing a lot about it last week, midweek. Maybe it was just a table setter. Like, okay, we pull this lever if we find a deal that we have to put a guy in that needs replacing, well, there's our replacement. We're ready with that. So, and if that, my biggest problem with the Trocheck thing, well, it's twofold. I don't think the player is really, I'm worried there's a tough age cliff there. And I think the foot speed is lacking at this point in his career, but I mostly don't see a fit. Like, I don't see a need for him, but that's where other moves come in. Maybe there is something that involves a center going out, and now I need a guy. So,
Travis, bottom line, the base case for Hellebuck is he likely remains a good goaltender for several years forward, but the likelihood of his looking like the league's preeminent puck stopper starts to diminish from this point forward. Question of, how much is he? That's right. Really, there might be a simple tug of war, if you will, between the two teams trying to agree on what his value is at this point. Man, that Montreal goal that you brought up, whenever I think about that, I think about how long it will be before it slips my mind, Mm-hmm. And a couple of things. We have this with the Bills and these difficult playoff losses, 13 seconds quintessentially, that stick in your brain and haunt you, and will do so until they win. And when they win, the pressure comes off, and it's not as bad. It's not as tough to relive in your mind. And that's true of the Sabres, too. If they win it, it could be that this year goes down as the big step forward that finally happened, and we don't even hate that they lost because they got farther from here.
Right.
And it'll just be thought of as that's when it all changed and started.
Block. Yeah, right.
But damn, though, that goal.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, too, and I can't know this, but I have had this thought about that game. Brett Hull in 99, Game 6 to win the Cup, all the controversy. And I guess this is a way that I used to rationalize it instead of just going mad over how wrong everything was about it. I would say, come on. This team was never scoring another goal, the Sabres. That's the third overtime. They scored one goal in the game. The series was so low scoring. Just like, come on, though. Like they were never scoring another goal, which I can't know. Dallas wasn't exactly lighting it up either. And I did that with Game 7 this year with Montreal. Because all the chances they had in the third and then in the overtime, just was it ever going to happen?
See, I felt the exact opposite watching it. I thought matter of time.
Here. Oh, I wish I could be like that.
I really did. The second intermission, I just shifted my. I made a decision.
They're going to win.
I'm not going to be. I'm going to try to enjoy this. I'm at a Game 7. They're down by 1. All right.
That's right. You were in there.
And Dahlin scored early enough that it was like, okay. And I just thought it felt very much like their game. I know it's a hockey game, but so much so that I think I said this right after, the day after that happened. The play that caused the turnover made me mad just because I thought it was sort of lazy, unattentive, maybe just unfortunate. I don't know. I just thought it was a gaffe by Thompson and Dahlin, the giveaway. But I was thinking that was an opportunity to score you let go by, not, oh, no, they're coming. It looked like a nothing play to me. I wasn't even on the edge of my seat. I probably was sitting back when the goal went in. They're like, oh, he's shooting from above the dot. Fine, whatever. What do you mean it's over? Oh. That's why, I sat there. The whole suite, me, Jeremy, and our old friend Dan Cave, who works with Roswell Park, and that's the suite we were in, were the last 3 people in there. And Jer and I were both kind of doing the same thing. We weren't talking to one another. We weren't even seated in the same row, but we were just sitting there looking at the ice going, really? And eventually I said to Dan, like, are you only here still because we're here?
He has to be the last one.
Do you need to be the last
off?
one out here or something? He's like, no, I always do this. I'm like, okay. I just didn't want to be keeping you from anything. But I was stunned. I just didn't. I thought they had it.
Everybody was stunned, I think.
Yeah,
but
that's right. It's nothing really to say that.
I can't pretend that I don't have that trait that one way or another we're going to lose. Mm-hmm. I don't like to admit it. If other people are that way around me, I probably want to say something back.
Mm-hmm.
But so many I don't know. Like it's just sort of what works for me. Talk about rationalizing. Just sitting there calmly, on some level, expecting the worst, as opposed to just getting so amped up for every scoring chance. Like, this is going to be it. It works better for me to not be like that. I mean, they do win sometimes.
Right.
But,
like
Game 7.
Like previous rounds,
once,
for example.
ever.
Right. Yeah, that's right. There is still that. And that might be the biggest reason of all that you wanted that. For me, it's such a thing that hangs over you. And, if you're going to be good and you're going to get to the playoffs, hopefully year over year here, you're going to be in Game 7s. It would be nice to have a little recent history that isn't as daunting.
Also, overtime goals would be good, too.
Right.
The Boston game we went to, I was this exact way that night, too. Like, they're not really going to score, though. Right? They're not. The Sabres are not really going to score the overtime winner to win the series. When does that happen? Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's going to sit there in your mind for just forever.
Well, I'm glad to have the Hellebuck stuff still. I was surprised when I got up today and saw it. Once the draft came and went Friday, I paid attention Saturday, but once the 4 and 20 were made, the picks were made, like, all right, I'm not really thinking about big trades anymore. I know it can still happen, but it was good to see, for me anyway, that there was still there's potential action. Like, there's action being talked about. Still, that like the Sabres and Jets did not have an ugly breakup.
Well, right. They didn't miss out on anyone. Everybody we talked about is still sitting in their situations.
Right.
So.
There've been trades, but it's been, Peterka's maybe the biggest name or contract that got traded during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He went to Boston
with Kevin Adams.
Right. I heard. How about that?
Good for him.
Yeah. And so, and you know what? I want to say, I mean, not that Utah was a bad place to be. And I know Peterka has his problems. Like he's not a 200-foot player and all that, but he's got a nice shot. I think he's a nice player, skill-wise, setup-wise, skating-wise. I think he could score all the goals if he plays with Pastrnak. I mean, that could be a really nice ad for them. Again, he's got flaws, but man, I think he will set a career high in goals playing if he plays on a line. The lineup I saw, the Boston hypothetical, post draft lineup has him on a line with Pastrnak. And I don't know. I saw a clip with Don Sweeney talking about wanting to add this hand shot to go with this other whatever power play. And I think the plan is for him to play with Pastrnak, and I think that'll go really well for them.
That trade broke between 6 and 7 on Friday, so maybe 6:30. Remember talking to Paul, we knew of it because Paul railed on the
contract that Utah gave him
for trading for him and just how much he dislikes Peterka as a player. So it was around 6:30. Then we get off at 7. I get home. The draft is underway, barely. But the draft is underway. I didn't miss the Sabres pick, and it's 20 minutes to get home. And well into the first round, maybe, a few picks at least, they did that thing where Gary Bettman, section 320, do you have something to tell me?
Uh-huh.
And there's just this, they cut to a fan. He's like, it's a buzzer or something. It just, man, this league sometimes falls so flat.
Was that how they presented the Peterka trade at the draft?
That's how, and then Bettman announced the trade, which had been known for like an hour at least.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there was a second trade. This was the one that Emily Kaplan had, I think, maybe, where he
Deforev.
Yeah, he does the same thing, and trade.
Yeah.
That's not every idea has to be a bad idea, but
that's a big deal too. He scored 30, 35 even. Like he got a huge contract from the Rangers, didn't he? Like $11 million, 11 and a half or something.
I think so.
That was a big deal too. I overlooked that when I mentioned Peterka was the biggest name player traded on draft night.
We'll see what free agency has to offer. There is a player I saw today that Jonathan Willis likes. Reporter out of Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Michelli from the Leafs. I guess he wasn't tendered.
Yeah, right.
He said some positive things about him as an idea. Scored 14 goals this year for Toronto. Winger. Matthias Michelli from Finland. We didn't talk about the Korea thing today. South Korea out of the World Cup, and the president of the country wants an investigation into why they weren't better. They're investigating the program and the words, the seriousness with the words about this will not happen again.
Right.
Was pretty stark.
They know it's sports, right?
That's exactly that's the question I'd want to ask.
Yeah, you're aware it's a game.
He's talking about taxpayer money, all the billions that went into funding the team.
Yeah.
They did not get out of the group stage.
Right.
Warren Sharp got out of the group stage and joined us today. His 2026 NFL season preview book is huge, and it's out. And we had the good fortune to talk to him about it today. Out of Bills, mostly, of course, a couple other things sprinkled in as well. Our conversation with Warren is coming your way after this here on WGR.